Okay, we'll call the August 21st, 2019 Barnes County North School Board meeting to order. I'd like to recognize our teacher visitors tonight. We'll turn it over to Mr. Severson for some thank yous.
Thank you to the coaches, our football team down in Valley City, our cross-country team here, and our volleyball team. We really appreciate all their hard work and dedication, and it's greatly appreciated. And then all of our athletes that are out for our fall sports, we really appreciate their efforts as well. So thank you.
Okay, thanks. Look at the agenda, we got under new business on other, we want to throw on school safety item. Is there any other additions or changes?
Just, Alicia's gonna talk about music fundraisers as well.
Okay, we can do that right. Make another one under
Yep.
music fundraiser. Under new, okay. Anything else anybody has? Hearing none, we would need a motion to approve the amended agenda.
I'll make a motion.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second it.
Chad? All in favor of approval of the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda's approved. Next item is our consent agenda, which is the minutes, bills, and financial reports. Anybody have any questions there? Just got one, did we add some things to the tile projects or not? Or was it just, was there anything additional that they did?
Nope, we did bathrooms, kindergarten, preschool, this bathroom and the staff bathroom.
'Cause I know when they bid it, they 7,700 and the bill list is 98, so that's why I just questioned if there was a difference. But
I'd have
if
to
they
ask, but
added
I
some
don't,
things or
I guess I
what.
didn't even look, I'm not sure if it, I'm not, I'd have to talk about it and ask him about that. Cause yeah,
I
we
think
did,
some of it was, supplies for the tiling. I'm not sure if,
That would have been in their
Well,
bid.
yeah.
last meeting though, we talked about they
Had to remove
had
some
to
of the
remove the
dividers.
dividers they were thinking, so did that add?
they didn't
cost?
remove the dividers,
We
they were
didn't,
able to
okay.
work around them.
So that wasn't added.
I know when we motioned to approve it was like 7,700 and the bill is 98.50, so I just questioned it.
Why'd you hear my stomach growling here?
Oh, so, okay, I get you, I thought you said meant they were 7,700 feet and then there
But it-
No,
okay, so,
but it wasn't
on the bill list was
77, it was
97.
the jump.
Huh?
It wasn't 77, that was jump.
Well, it was
Then
in
there
our
was-
minutes, but it said that for $7,700 we approved.
Because the tile came through Valley Flooring, and there were 3 separate bills.
I just saw that here.
But we added an upgrade to it, didn't we, though?
I'm just, that's why I'm just asking.
But I thought we
That-
agreed on that when we were here that night.
I thought so too, yeah. But that's why,
No, I mean,
When I look back in
the
the
upgrade
minutes,
was
it
gonna
said-
be like $2,500 more or something. Something about a molding around the side and something,
there was a
Well,
top
the
mold.
98.50 was the painting.
oh,
Yeah, Jen flooring was only $60.95.
paintings, okay. Flooring,
Valley Flooring was 6714.54.
maybe I'm wrong, cause I got the bid here and I've got all them wrote here, so maybe that's probably me. Yeah, 98.50 I do have written here as paint, yeah, I do have that. So I don't have a question.
Good thing we could answer it then.
so obviously the
Job
upgrade
80.
was in on that
Yeah, the
price
upgrade
then,
had to be
okay.
done, cause they put the different molding on the top, in this bathroom, that's not on the one over here.
Yeah,
We
okay.
did,
It looks, if you haven't looked at it, go look at them,
okay.
they look really nice.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Who got it?
Fair. Roll call?
Rob?
Yes.
Chad?
Yep.
Michelle? Yes. Cindy? Yes. Lori? Yep. Brent?
Yes,
Mike?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Brett?
Yes.
Those are approved. Committee reports, president's report, I have none. Career and tech. I've had many meetings this last month. Where you wanna go? We have full staff down there. Finally got an IT person. Derek's on board, Derek Bolt, the new director. We've gone and met with Development Corporation, trying to work some things out on job creation. I think Derek had meetings with the superintendents also, didn't he, Mr. Severson?
Yes, he did.
Wanted to get them in there. He's actually thinking of coming out to introduce himself to the board out here, probably next meeting. We've talked to, well, we've had meetings with, it's actually through Valley Plains, but it's John Deere. They're looking to see how we can get maybe 3 students to go through the program, and they would be John Deere certified. When they got done, they could get jobs in any of the Valley Plains equipment facilities, starting at $50,000, going through that process. We've talked, when we went to the meeting, they had people from Montana, Minnesota, South Dakota, North Dakota. The biggest concern was some of the other states, not North Dakota as much, they've allowed people to take like horticulture as a science. They've allowed to take for one of your literatures, they've, instead of reading To Kill a Mockingbird, they've allowed them to test off of, say, reading your tech manuals, because it's all comprehension. So Montana's using that a lot. I mean, they're still getting the same skill set, but their state's allowing those as credits. We aren't there yet, so that's part of the deal that they worked on. We gotta talk a little through. We talked at our meeting trying to get the CTE side to put a little pressure on DPI to look at some of that type of stuff. Helps keep kids in school, different things like that. Had some meetings with Harold Rotunda, couple nights. We met trying to work out we wanna do some, have Jeff Bolt come and help transition to the new director, so we worked on how we can do that through the vocational, how we can fund that or whatever. Budget, we've had budget meetings. Right now, we're looking at a $95,000 deficit spend at the vocation, because we didn't want to increase any more to the participating schools. Traditionally, we've been able to underspend that budget because we're very conservative and we arrive at that budget. For example, we get 40% reimbursement from the state for a program. Let's take health careers, just use an example. The state will give you 40% reimbursement for your program. But if you ITV it out to the other schools, you get an extra 4% reimbursement for every school we teach to. We only plugged in for health careers 55% reimbursement. Last year we had 92% reimbursement. So we're budget-wise very conservative on what we think we're bringing in for revenue. So we believe we can pretty much sustain or underneath that $95,000 deficit spend. Also looking at proceeding a little more with, now we've got the new ag instructor in, going more on board with the greenhouse. Working that, we moved our botany horticulture to the second semester instead of the first, so we can maybe see if we can get some of that in place. Now that we've got the 2 classes, in the past, like we weren't have access to carpentry. They needed more people into that. So with Litchfield Marion coming on board to the VOTEC, which is their first year, Jason Bowen, which is our construction teacher, doesn't go down to Litchfield now, so he stays up at the vocational center. So now we can offer carpentry in the second block in the afternoon. So by doing that, we're looking at building a bigger house other than just a cabin. We're looking at building a 36 by 60 some square foot house, which we're working on plans for that. So we're gonna be a bigger project, which we can go through plumbing and the whole thing with more class time. What else? Like I say, we've had meetings upon meetings this last month. Pretty much that's it. Derek wants to come out, and I think he's gonna be very good down there. I mean, he's got some good ideas. We went to Development Corporation, looking at how we can expand, if we wanna expand into diesel, something else. We wanna look at where the Development Corporation can help us with facilities or buildings. And so we looked at, even visit with the National Guard one night, as they're moving to the new building, can we use, when they go out of there, is there a possibility of using that National Guard, working through the Development Corporation and getting that, cause it's a block away. So, a lot of things that aren't for sure, but we've had a lot of meetings and trying to improve, offer more offerings. What did you have from your, he had all the superintendents come in, can you add
I
anything?
wasn't there.
You didn't go?
No, I
Okay,
was,
you weren't there.
I was at, we had a meeting in Bismarck.
Okay, but he thinks
He
about
met with
doing
me.
some more of that, getting some ideas, you know, what we can do down there.
Yep, yeah, they met on Monday morning.
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago.
Yep.
So, but basically, we're all staffed, but it was right down to the wire to get the last person in place.
Who'd you end up getting? Sounds
It's a
worth it.
lady, and I can't, I lost her name for sure right now, but she was, she was from Turtle Mountain, she was a principal and something else there, and then did teach. She's brought in about 10 years IT that she taught before that, but she came from Turtle Mountain. I lost, and I can't think of the name right now. That's what I got for there. You got any other questions? We're looking at a lot of different things there. Derek would like to come out and to every board and just introduce himself, and he's probably gonna come out next meeting. Activity director.
Working on volleyball stuff, we got, open for anybody who wants to do concessions, ticket takers, and line judges. And then I do have, our Southeast Athletic Directors meeting in Lisbon on Wednesday the 28th. And then our Barnes County Athletic Association meeting is that night, the 28th, at the Country Club in Valley City, and that includes our music program as well. And then the mandatory admin meeting for us is, that we have to go through for NDHSAA, is on the 18th of September.
Mike, is there anything with Valley City for like the staff and the board and stuff for games?
Yep,
Is there cards?
we're gonna get everybody a card, all our staff and board members will get you cards. Yeah, they said they'll accept our passes, so.
Oh yeah, we gotta have it by next Friday night, don't we?
Is that next Friday that the first game is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Thanks, Beulah. Okay. Yeah, I'll make sure because Deb was gonna put some together for us so that we had something, cause Mike said all we gotta do is put it together and then send them a copy and they have it in their cash box, so when you go through, you can just show it to them and then you get it for free.
Activity fees for Valley City, has that been paid yet for football?
No, I don't have a
We haven't
figure.
seen anything, no.
Okay, 'cause, the night of the registration, or that meeting down there, we had, what was it, 3 people that paid
Yeah.
before we found out, and then I stopped it,
Okay.
and then we got their checks back, but I said, well, I figured, I didn't know if the AD was
Okay,
talking to you or what.
Yeah, he hasn't even talked about activity fees, so I'll email him in the morning and ask him about that.
But nobody paid, I mean, everybody, we got everybody covered, and got their checks back.
Okay. I'll email him and find out what he owes. Okay.
Any other questions, Mr. Severs, on an AD report? Technology report, Mrs. Bitsley, anything?
Yeah, the only thing that she had is she got all the devices out to all the kids today. She has a couple of fees that, she's still gotta collect. And then that's all that she mentioned to me to pass on, but all that went, pretty easy. She did it in Mr. Samuelson's classroom throughout the day and then, one time in Miss Rios's classroom. So all the students were able to get logged in, get the devices up and running. So they should be all good to go for tomorrow. And the teachers will do.
I have a question for you, Ms. Wilson, maybe you can answer it. The, school supply list
Yeah,
was only on Facebook. There was nothing on the website saying school supply list, look on Facebook or anything. You know, I understand the website has to be ADA compliant and all that stuff, but if we're gonna push things out through social media, we should have it on the website, at least look for it on our social media feed. You know what I'm saying?
okay, yeah.
Wasn't it emailed out too?
It was emailed as well.
Yeah, but she's got my old email that I don't get anymore. You know what I mean? So,
Well, you're a little outdated then.
but I'm just, I understand emails go out, but no one, you know, not everybody checks their email, they know to go to the website, so. I mean, I'm just saying, if you're putting stuff on the social media, you should probably put it on the website too.
physical science or physics science and then 9th and 10th grade science, only one of those was supposed to be on after talking with Mr. Hans. So there was a few questions during registration, apparently, which ones of these do I get? So, you know, we'll have to make sure next year that we double and triple check to ensure that that is accurate by all teachers that place this on there.
Okay. Any other questions there, technology? Not Daniel, K-12, or pre-K to 6 principal report. I gotta
Get
change
used
from
to
this
that,
K-12
huh?
thing.
Well, we all survived the day today. Everybody's still alive. But it was good. I've been talking to the title teachers about back to school night. I heard some food discussion. They're concerned because if you do an RSVP, it doesn't usually work, but how many people do we plan for that? So I know that's been talking.
Yep, and I got that on too, but what they're gonna do is, instead of doing the barbecue, they're gonna have you guys help serve tacos in a bag. Walking
They
tacos in a
finalized
bag.
that this
That's what she
afternoon?
told me after
Perfect.
school, that they're gonna do walking tacos and if you guys can just help serve them.
And then
What did you say?
You don't wanna know.
he said warm toast.
I'm a fan of walking tacos.
And then, of course, I want to take attendance because that's the whole push for doing it when we are, so I want to compare the attendance for that. 6th grade has a field trip coming up the beginning of September to Wesley Acres, is that right? I keep hearing about it, so I need to check it out, I guess, now that I live closer. I'm taking the elementary classroom teachers to a professional development opportunity in the city, so all of us are going to that. It's on a Saturday, which they're all pretty excited about, so. And then I got a call today about a new kindergarten student possibly coming in from Wimbledon, so lots going on.
What's the professional development?
That one is an uplifting educators conference with Kayla Delzer. She is the North Dakota Teacher of the Year, and there's a couple others there too.
I don't know where this exactly fits in, but you were talking about the back-to-school night. I've had 2 concerns a week about the the school thing being after school starts. What's the reason we had it after school starts?
The attendance was really low and we had it prior, and since it's our Title I meeting too, we're just trying something different to see if it boosts the attendance so we could get that Title I information out there to a larger group of people. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
I kind of came in the middle of that when I was hired, so that's why I'm taking attendance of how many families are there that hear the information, and I know they've done that in the past, so we can compare and see.
So what were their concerns?
Well, just wondering why it's after school starts, and then there was a couple parents of elementary kids that they gotta carry all this stuff to school the first day. They didn't have a chance to come here and put it in lockers. So then the parents tried to get here to help them, and
Yeah, we talked about that. There was some miscommunication about allowing them to do that during registration, and we're going to talk about allowing them to do that during registration to get it here. If, having back to school night after works and we get good feedback, then we'll allow them to bring their supplies before school starts too.
okay. And the registration was another concern some had too, that there was only one night available, and that was all during the day.
It was all there in the day.
Well, and luckily, I wasn't available the night that it was, but luckily I have a job where I can just leave and go do it. And I know there was other people at my workplace that were trying to figure out when they could get out of there to go.
Yeah, we heard some of those concerns too, so.
Okay, so I'm not the only one then?
No.
Good.
As far as one night that went later?
Yeah,
Okay, yeah.
but like before, it was all at the back-to-school night, wasn't it?
Yep.
They had registration set up during the week,
During the day.
before that.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. but
Where
the
you
back to
could
school
all
night-
do it
Oh,
back.
okay.
Wait until
Okay.
majority showed up that night.
that was when, back to school, and that was when the majority of them came.
Yep.
So, the younger ones anyway.
So I just wanted you to know the things that were out there.
Yeah, we'll brainstorm that throughout the year.
Yeah, and I've heard, and you know, I've received phone calls, emails, parents, the same thing with that on there, you know, if we, and I, at the staff meeting, I told people, what, if you're hearing these, like, the first day of school today, you know, if there's parents that are coming in doing it, just like, we're just trying something new. And we'll learn from it and things, you know, the biggest concern that I heard is not being able to get there to get stuff into their cubbies, their lockers ahead of time and whatnot. Yeah, if it stays the way it is next year, that'll be one of the things that's completely different. You come in for registration, you'll be able to go put that stuff there. You just might not have access to the classroom teacher because they might not be
Right.
there and the classroom will be locked, but you'll be able to put the stuff there for the students to be able to have on the first day so they don't have all those things.
Right, cause everybody, the lockers had all the names on them, I'm
Yep.
assuming the cubbies had all the names on them way before, I mean, today, so I mean,
Yeah.
I know during that registration time, they must have
Yeah,
had
you
them on
walk
there.
down the hallway, you can find your
Yeah,
child
yeah,
pretty
so.
easily.
That's not the, okay.
So with back to school, I don't know where the, how will we set up for our displays or people in the commons for,
I'm not sure how they were gonna set that, they were gonna put some tables up for that. I know I gotta get a hold of the care center too, cause they wanted to come in, they just called me the other day. But I think they're just setting up out here in the commons, just giving them a table and whatever to set their stuff up.
so who's in charge of that part of it?
Well, Lisa and Sarah
Yeah,
were
Lisa and
heading it
Sarah,
out.
yeah, they're the
but-
ones that put it up, so I think that's who they should be contacting, but this one came to me and I'm talk to them and get them a table.
So the gals that answering the phone knew who to send it to,
They sent it to me, yep.
but I mean, it should be going to.
Yeah, it's fine, it can go to me and then I can get it to Sarah and Lisa too, so, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions? Not, Mr. Wilson, 712.
Let's see, first day of school, I think went real well. We, got, any schedule questions done today, and it helped a ton having Mrs. Doctor here.
Oh, I thought he was gonna say my name.
Well, we know how that went.
Having three of us to be able to answer and know, and especially with Mrs. Doctor working so closely with them on their schedules and the things that they were interested in, it just went a lot quicker than trying to have those conversations and then Joanne and I having to figure it out and then me contact Allison and go, is this what you, where is this stuff at? But having her here really made that a very smooth transition for those students. And getting that stuff done. And as the year goes, when we start planning for the following year and schedules, it's gonna just be nice being able to have her and us be able to talk back and forth every day when we're going through that. Our 7 through 12 PE students will be going canoeing in Wesley Acres on September 6th. Mrs. Albright just sent out, we talked about that, and then she sent out an email informing the staff about that. And then we have 18 students that are attending classes in Valley City for the VOTEC, which is up considerably, I think, over the past 2 years. So it's good. I was worried about
So what was the
IT.
attendance before?
Last year we finished with 3.
Wow.
We had 7 start, we ended up with 3. But this year, you know, there's gonna be no concerns whatsoever with those guys. I was worried because just a matter of a few days ago, the IT part was still unsure, and I had quite a few kids that were signed up for those classes, and then if that didn't go through, okay, now we gotta figure something else out for those kids, so I was glad to hear that those continued, that they were able to.
What are most of the kids going down there for the IT?
There's a wide variety.
Okay.
I've got, I think, 5 kids that are with the computer stuff. I think 7 that are in the auto, and then the welding one has quite a few. And then we have one who's taken the online medical terminology, but she's staying here. And then the other period, she's taking other classes. But it's it's a good, variety of what they're offering. Our kids are able to take each one of them, so. And it'll be interesting with the addition of the, construction one, to see if we get more kids who would be interested in pursuing that too. Because I know that's usually a real high interest area. And then, that's all I have.
Any questions, Mr. Wilson? Thank you. Mr. Severson, anything more, Superintendent?
Yeah, we just had the back to school net, we have our strategic planning meeting on September 23rd, just a reminder. Those of you that are on the strategic planning committee, there's a rural school summit out in Bismarck on the 25th of September. And just for your own information, the leadership, we got our leadership team set up. We'll meet every first Wednesday of each month, and then our district administrative team will meet every Monday morning, so just for some side notes.
Strategic plan, is it, I know we talked about, but it would be, is it any benefit to have the first one have more open to see what ideas are?
Yeah, I don't,
And then,
he just said
then weed
anything,
that
yeah.
group down a little bit?
He said you could do whatever we wanted. He said it's our meetings, he said you can do whatever you want.
You should want to. I think the more people, the better, especially.
To start with, I mean, then you can weed her down a little bit. but-
He said it's up to us however many you want. You know, cause we've got 5 of you, is it 4 of you?
Four.
1, 2, 3, Chad,
Yeah.
Michelle, Lori, and Mike.
But even community members.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's fine. I mean, he said, he said you could have as many as you want. Cause some of them have 20 to 25 on their group.
Cause I think, cause my perspective is gonna be different than someone else's. I
Yes.
actually think the more perspectives you bring in, the better, but.
And that's fine. Like you said, you can have any amount you want, just,
So that first one, does it have to be during the day, or if you're gonna get more people, could you run that one?
well, he wants to keep it during the day.
He wants to keep it during the
Yeah.
day, but I was just trying to think to get more,
Yeah,
Do we have time for that one yet?
10 to 1.
10 to 1.
Yeah, they're all 10 to 1.
They're it's a horrible time.
Yeah, the first 3 meetings, he said if we, the 4th one is possible, but he said the first 3 will definitely happen. The 4th one is only if we need it.
right.
Okay.
So how do we get out that we're inviting whoever is interested, we wanna go to the district to show up?
We can send out we can send out an email to all the district patrons if we want to. I mean, to the parents. We wouldn't get everybody, but we'd hit parents.
So when does the Wimbledon newsletter come out?
End of the month.
So we could get it
Is
in
there
there.
time to
Could get
hurry
it
up
in
and
there.
throw it in there? Would be nice.
When does she,
It usually comes out like the first week of the month. The deadline is like the 23rd.
Yeah, I was gonna say the deadline's the
So we just.
We got a couple days.
We got a day or two.
Yep.
So it's September 23rd, what were the other 2 dates, what were the dates you had?
September 23rd, October 4th, no, October 7th.
That's right.
And then October 28th will be our 3 for sures, and then possibly November 4th. He said a lot of times you don't need that 4th meeting. He said, cause then it goes to your writing team, and then you can start the writing process. But he said those first 3 for sure.
I think it would be nice to try to include community somehow, and parents, obviously, which are community.
So do we wanna just invite, and then when they come to the first meeting, I can contact Jeff too and see what his thoughts are.
Yeah.
You know, if we just invite anybody to the meeting, and then from there, we decide if they wanna stay on or however we wanna do
Then
it.
we can, yeah.
I can email
Is
him
there
and
any
ask
way
him.
that he could look at changing the first one so it could be in the evening, or, I'd just check with him, 'cause then
Okay.
more people could come, if they're not working or whatever.
You have one meeting, you have one more meeting. I mean, once a week. The sad thing about attending a meeting here is you have to leave work a half hour early.
Well, I'm just saying that, what day of the week is this?
Monday.
Monday.
So you got school, where are we gonna have a big group of people, just go in the gym, or what? You know, if we have a lot of people coming.
Well, we'd probably use the tech room down there, and just move them out of there.
But I think we just open it up to see what interest there is, or what our patrons will wanna look at, see where we wanna go.
Okay, I'll check with him and see if he can change it. And then asking about invite to all community.
I just wanna include, if they wanna have some ideas. Anybody else got some thoughts there?
Well, I just feel that if we lead with just a small group, then it's gonna be like, well,
No
you're just
bite.
gonna do what you're doing
Yeah.
anyway, so
Yeah.
we're just, you're doing whatever you want, so yeah, I think you
Yeah,
open
I
it
know.
up, there might be someone out there who's really interested in what's going on. Let them have a voice, and if they don't come, then we at least have offered and invited.
Okay.
I'll do that. Okay,
Is anybody planning on doing the one on the 25th, that, the Rural Summit in Bismarck? Is that interesting to anybody? Is anybody going? Okay, just wondering.
You are, aren't you?
I'm thinking about it, because
yeah, cause they were struggling to get enough people to go.
oh, were they?
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just finally got enough. So, yeah, I mean, I could, if you want information, I can send it out to you too.
Okay, why don't you do that?
Okay, I can send it out.
Any other questions? No, thanks, Mr. Severson. Building and grounds, do you have met anything?
No, I'm sure all of you saw the front.
Yes,
Really
looks
nice.
awesome.
They did a great job on that. All of our tiles done, our painting's all done.
Front door not quite yet?
No, front door's not done. The doors aren't done. Bud ordered the doors for these other ones too, and they're not here yet, so. And yeah, the front door's gotta get fixed. That was it.
Are we waiting on someone to come in, or are we waiting on parts, or,
The door,
yeah?
Yeah.
somebody's gotta come and do that.
Okay, so we just
Company.
waiting on them when they can get it
And I'm
out
not
here.
sure if Melissa was gonna contact, I remember who it was, whatever company is it that does it, cause it's connected to our, that's the one that we open up and. we
Oh, that's
close
with the key fob and
automatically.
all that stuff, so.
We can open it up with the computer and everything, so that's the one, I can't remember if Melissa was gonna call or Bud was, but.
Yeah, I don't know, I know Bud has been trying to get somebody out here and they just, he hasn't
Not
gotten them
getting
out here yet. He tried to fix it and it didn't work.
Oh, and then the bus barn up in Wimbledon too, we looked at the doors on that. Then they'd been adjusted a little bit, somebody hit the post in there too,
Yeah.
that's kinda what. So we might need to get a carpenter or somebody in to straighten that up, and
Do we wanna redo all of them, is that kinda what we're thinking?
it'd
or-
probably be a good idea to have somebody come in and
Okay.
get everything straightened up, and door openers would be nice on those, but I think get them pushed all the way up or down, but yeah, just to get the rails straightened up and stuff would be good.
Anything else doing your own?
Nope.
Budget and finance?
Oh, we got the budget coming up
Coming up, okay.
right now.
Okay, then we'll jump, anybody, policy, we met, or no?
Nope.
Nothing policy?
I want other, I need other done.
You got other,
Yeah,
okay.
I've got other. So I did the Southeast Educational Cooperative meeting. How many of you guys know what that is?
I don't know, it sends me emails.
So as a board, they were sitting there talking, and I realized most of us have no idea what they do or what they offer our school, and we're paying for them, our taxes are paying for them. So, one of the ladies that actually does all of the education for the students and stuff said, if we did a retreat, she'd be willing to come out and explain the programs and explain how our school could be involved in them, because we're not taking advantage the way possibly we could. Like, we didn't take advantage of the after-school program this year, which we would have qualified for. And it's, if you guys are at all interested in knowing what student services they offer. And then another lady that sits on the board is our representative to North Dakota School Boards Association, and she would be willing to come and talk about board responsibility and some guidelines and some things. And at the same time, they're talking about how most of their superintendents break down the financing from the state and stuff, so we have a better understanding of where we get our dollars and stuff. I think it's time we educate ourselves a little bit on some of this stuff, if anybody's interested.
I feel if we're paying for something, we should be taking advantage of it. Like,
And we do a little bit, cause that's the MTSS training, or,
Yep.
Yeah, we utilize the training
yeah.
aspect of it, but the other aspects of it, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
But any of the professional development stuff, things like that, that's the area where, you know, we participate. And the other stuff that they go into, we haven't really dove into it, you know, like that after-school program that you were talking about, you know, just.
That was a grant that we made, I mean, that would've been paid for, I don't know how that.
Well, we had
is.
somebody with the first year I was here, and then we couldn't get anybody hired back, that's why we don't
Is
have
that
it.
why we don't do it?
Yeah, cause there's nobody to run it.
Okay, that's-
We don't have
I mean,
anybody
that's-
yeah, we had it out, was when Tammy ran it the first year, and then she
Okay.
quit doing it, and we advertised, and didn't get anybody next year, and then we just dropped it.
Which is kinda, I mean, that was dollars that came to us that would've provided a need, but, and I get it, if we can't hire somebody, we can't hire somebody. But I just think that we need to educate ourselves a little bit more as a board, and we have so many new people that it doesn't, and I couldn't tell you what all they do either, and I sit on their board, so I need to be educated too. Okay, so we're gonna plan a retreat sometime, people.
that's good. I have a great academy.
Yes.
Just kidding.
West the Acres.
No.
No.
Any other questions? Southeast, Flores? Okay. Old business, we have some other contract approvals to do?
Yes, we have Mrs. Bollingberg, Mr. Purcell, amendment for Ms. Rios and Ms. Schweitzer.
These are the ones that came in after the board meeting, after
Well-
you approved them at the
But
board
what's the
meeting.
amendment for Ms.
Ms.
Swite's or
She changed lanes.
change lines, okay.
I make a motion to approve the contracts?
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Rob,
Yes.
Chad,
Yep.
Michelle,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Lori,
Yep.
Brent,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Approved. Next we have staffing update.
Yeah, just that we have the new individuals, and then we also, they just hired, special ed, they just hired, somebody part-time to do our special ed, what Mr. Partain did last year. She's contracted for 25 days throughout the year, and then, she will do the IEPs, all the paperwork and things like that, and then Tori will monitor the stuff, or Tori instead. So, we do have somebody that's qualified sitting in there doing the majority, or not, I should say, all the paperwork stuff.
Paperwork. Okay.
And she was a former employee for us.
That's where she got her start,
Yeah, she got her start here.
Lori Justison.
Lori,
Lori Justison.
yeah.
Lori Tate. Okay. Budget update. Mr. Severson, you got that one?
You have a copy of it?
Mhm. I got it here somewhere.
And we went through and, went through this with the Budget and Finance Committee. I think there was a couple of changes that Amy sent you, but as we go through it, I mean, if there's any questions that you have, regarding, if you've looked at it, bottom line, when you get right down to it, would be, and it says there our total expenditures are gonna be this year, $5,309,987. And then depending on, our projected revenue is only 4,800, so we're looking at around a $500,000 deficit. Which again is, we're on the high side, because we've estimated a little in our high side on a little bit on our expenditures, so. And that again depends on the general fund, you know, we just lifted that up a little bit. You know, we went from $2,051,000 to $2,100,000. So depending on what the 60 mills will bring in there. Then the foundation aid, we pretty much know that one's gonna be set, so it's up a little bit from last year, but not a lot. Transportation, up a little bit. And our Title I is up, Title REAP is down a little bit, and then the Title V is up. That's just, that's, the Title IV is all we can use it for is professional development.
So what are we looking at from those, are we asking for with that?
60,
60?
yeah. Yeah, we'll go
And
60
10
and 10 building fund. If that's okay, that's what I'm gonna submit to the, I can get those figures, I'll get that out to you once we know what our tax evaluation's gonna be. I can get you those figures but that's kind of where we sit at is, you're trying to get to, well, we are at the 60 for sure.
Okay.
And then depending on what that amount will bring in, and then the 10 with the building fund, if we wanna leave building fund at 10.
Is that down from last year? Weren't we like at 72 total last year?
60 and 10.
Year
before we were-
60 and 10 last year.
Year before we were 60, and then I think we went like 8 in
Three.
the building fund, or 7 in the building fund and 3 in the, yeah, did we go
It was-
73
it was-
or something
It
like
was
that?
10 in the building fund and 3 in
Miscellaneous.
miscellaneous.
And then we decided we didn't need the miscellaneous dollars, so we went to the 60 and the 10 right now. And then I'll have to get the auditor, once we get our tax evaluation, I'll have to get the auditor that will meet next,
She's got it.
okay.
She emailed me.
She's
I
got
had-
our tax
Yeah, I
evaluation?
had sent
Okay.
her our preliminary budget, and this week I notified her of our tax hearing date, time, and location, so she's got that.
She's got it, okay. So all we so we just need to know, I mean, it used to be you had to have an increase and you couldn't go up, you couldn't go down, or you could go down, but you couldn't go up, and now all that's away, and as long as we've got everything there, they'll advertise it, and they'll get all that information out that we need, so. But I can figure out what we're gonna do, and then I can let you guys know what kind of a percentage on what we're looking at. I think that one year we said 15% because we couldn't go down, we couldn't go up, so we had to have, so we set it as high as we could, and then we ended up in, a little or nothing, but we set it high just in case, so they kinda took that out for us, so.
So how do we avoid the mistakes where people come here angry because they did or didn't get a letter? What did we decide we were gonna do?
That's not ours.
That's not
That-
ours.
the auditor does all
of it.
But last time it was supposed to be the auditor too, and we got you down.
Well, no, the
No, that
auditor
was-
gave us the
gave us the
list,
list.
but they didn't give us the list until
Late.
Right before.
immediately before the
Yeah.
meeting, but now the auditor handles
do
all the
everything.
So
notifications.
you don't have to send.
We don't do
We
any
don't do
sending at all,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
We send them our date and time, and they send everything out.
Okay.
So that takes care of them being upset with the fact that the auditor didn't get us everything in time, so.
So when's our date and time?
That's right on the
September-
bottom of it.
18.
September 18th.
Oh,
Yeah, tax hearing at 6 and the board meeting at 7.
yeah, okay. So do we don't do anything, we don't have to do anything with.
But we've approved the preliminary, so we won't approve that till the next meeting, we'll approve the
Right.
final budget. yeah.
Cause we can adjust it up to when? October?
October.
October 10th, I
Yeah.
I
believe.
believe, okay. Anything else under other old business?
Nope.
New business substitute teacher.
Okay, we're at $140 a day and $20 a period, so do we wanna leave it at that? I mean, it's pretty competitive, so it's not like we're low or anything.
I know we did look at the vocational, we sent out to all our schools that we are with, and then the schools around us, and 140 is above everybody.
Okay.
Other, let's see.
Around us, yeah.
Binford's at 140.
What did you say, 140 and then what? You get,
$20 a period if we're on a 7-period day. So if a teacher,
Covers for another teacher during their prep period, they get,
okay.
No,
That's how
we
much
only
they
get
get.
15.
No, sub covers only 15.
oh.
We only get 15. Subs get 20, we get 15.
Okay, I misunderstood.
Yeah, we're looking to, I mean, yeah, 'cause around us, Valley City's 110, vocational's 110, but Litchfield's 125, I'm just gonna hit the ones we have around here. Griggs County 125, Maple Valley's 100. I mean, that
Yeah,
were the ones
no,
that-
cause my first year I came and I was the one that presented that we need to increase it because we were lower at that time. And, we shared a lot of subs and we were losing them
Mhm.
to there. And I think we were talking about like the 130 range, but I believe it was you, Lori, that said, let's just make it so it's not a question about money, and what about the 140? On there, and so that it
Yeah.
wasn't a matter of money for them saying no, it was other reasons, you know, and if they had to choose between Valley City or here, you know, money wouldn't be the reason why they chose not to come here.
Right.
That it could be an incentive for them to rather come out here than be in there, so.
So where was Valley City?
110.
110?
So the half hour, those that are in Valley City, the half hour of getting out here,
Right.
half hour of getting back, you know,
More than covers it.
well, yeah, you would hope that then that extra $30 wouldn't be, you know, well, it's not worth it driving out there, so that's why we came up with that number of 140.
I think we're good.
Okay.
And then the teachers would like to discuss the substitute being half-day, full days, and that being counted against them as well.
Oh, okay.
We're up?
I guess we'll-
Yep.
you're up.
Okay. As being, one of the teacher reps here, first of all, I just wanted to extend a thank you for allowing us to speak today, at your board meeting. But before I get into the couple of concerns here, the after-school program, I think we had, prior to even being here in this building.
Yep.
I know Mrs. Scout did that for a couple of years when we were over in Wimbledon coordinating. So that program has been kind of around, I think we just kind of went away from it just a little bit because of the hiring aspect of it.
Wasn't, I thought there was an issue with the number of kids attending at the,
I couldn't tell you that.
I don't think that.
it wasn't?
Because I think we had good numbers.
Oh, okay,
We had the numbers, we just couldn't find them.
okay.
With, the substitutes, do you guys put that out like in the Jamestown Sun at all? In the classifieds?
That we're looking for subs?
Yeah. Or is that just out on the website
On the
or
Valley City.
Facebook or
Times Record.
Times Record in Valley City too? Could that be an option? Cause I know of a couple people in Jamestown that have asked me what our sub pay is out here. And I told them that, and I told them to call because they were very interested in coming out here. I told them to call the school here
Okay.
because it's very eye-opening with what we pay out here for subs.
And we've received calls, I've received lots of contact, talked to people, say, yeah, you just gotta come out here, get the paper. They don't come out and get the paperwork.
Okay.
And then if they do, then they don't come back out here and give it to us, you know, and go and get the fingerprints and go through that process to do it. Like this year when going through renewing it, you know, and I met with Amy and go, did these ones turned in their paperwork? They came in, they want it, nope. So there's nothing that we can do from that standpoint, give them the information, give them the packet, but then they don't bring it back.
Can we do it electronically at all? I mean, short of the,
Drive.
I mean, cause you should be able to get your fingerprints set, you know, cause don't you just go down to the sheriff's department and have them do it and then they send the report?
I'll let Amy answer that question.
We could certainly email them the forms,
Yeah,
except the fingerprint cards.
well, right, but it's a pretty standard fingerprint card, isn't it?
No, we have our own, North Dakota school system has their own number. We get issued cards from the Attorney General's office that
Okay.
have our number on it. So I could email them the forms, snail mail the fingerprint cards, but
Do they have to
something's-
snail mail back to you or do they have to, can they
Well, they're
send?
gonna have to bring them back to me because I have to see original documentation for their I-9.
Okay.
So they're
Oh,
gonna have to
that
come out
would-
here at least once.
Yeah,
A little further discussion on that.
yeah. We'll work on that.
Yeah, and the supply list, I noticed on there with the high school, it seemed like we were double and tripled up on some of the supplies with what
And
we
I
were
think
expecting in the
he
high school.
talked about
We as a high school, we would try to consolidate that to make that much better, so kids aren't bringing a ton of stuff that they're not gonna be using. So we will work on that part of it too. So, one concern that we had as a teacher, group was, the extended day that came up on us here. We're going from 7:50 now until 3:50, and we were just kind of wondering how that all came about, because that kind of came up on us, with our in-service days. And we weren't too much, aware of that with, prior notification on that. So we were kind of concerned about that.
So you're saying yesterday or Monday, when, yesterday was the
Yesterday.
first day finding out?
For some of us, I don't know, I can't say for the whole staff on when they knew about that, but, I know for some staff it was, first knowledge of that yesterday.
Stacy, didn't we talk about that at negotiations, that the school day was changing?
I don't remember talking about
I
that,
don't,
with
Thought we-
extending that school.
But we
day.
knew
Brought it
that
up, but I
we-
don't
thought that was,
remember
talked-
what
We
it
knew
was.
about the extension of the class periods.
What we talked about, was we were taking a look at compensation for when we go beyond our
Yeah.
contracted time. Because our
Okay.
contracted time in the previous was 7:50 to 3:35. And we discussed that, well, we're not.
but that's when we
but-
brought up what the new
but we're
school
not,
day
uh,
was, wasn't it? What the new school
Talked
hours would be?
about it, yeah,
The news.
But we just talked about that we
School
weren't an
hours.
8-hour day, and you guys were concerned because we weren't an 8-hour day, we weren't going 8 hours, that how could we justify compensation? We never talked about extending the school day. I
All
don't
we
remember
talked about is how we would track comp time.
Right, that's what we discussed.
That's what we talked about.
Yep.
But I know we did talk at a board that we knew the periods would extend, but, you know,
Right, the periods had to
Yes.
extend.
right. So that
we
would
just went-
extend
so
the
we're going
day.
from 8:20 to 3:34 now.
Yeah.
Which we don't have an issue with that.
Yeah.
Because we understood that, the periods had, because we were 7-period day.
Correct.
If we were an 8-period day, we can shorten those periods then.
Yeah.
Right.
So you guys feel that leaving at 7:30 or 3:35, a minute after the last bell, that's what you guys wanted? I mean, that's what I'm gathering.
Well, we're just trying to understand why it changed from 3:35 to 3:50. Why it got
I
extended those 15 minutes.
Don't know that.
Because the reason why we pushed for that 7:50 to 3:35 is because we're here, and a lot of our appointments are in Jamestown
Mhm.
or Valley City, and it's tough to get us to those
Mhm.
places in the amount of time. Bags close at 4:30.
Mhm.
You know, it's tough to get to those particular places. I know when we were going to separate schools, when we were in Wimberley Courtney, the post office was changing their hours.
Mhm.
And I'm going, well, how can I get to the post office? I gotta leave school just to do stuff at the post office, because they were shortening their hours. Or they were going from 8 to 2.
And I'm gonna ask the question again. I don't know, because I don't know how it hit 7:50. When was that?
7:50.
Oh,
that's
7:50
always
was
been-
I mean,
7:50.
not 7:50,
3:50.
3:50, excuse me,
To
3:50.
make it an 8-hour day,
Just to
make it
pay-
clear 8 hours.
point
yep.
blank, make it 8-hour day.
Yep.
But it was, you never found where it was voted on to,
Well, it's never been voted on, Beth. I told you that, yeah, they didn't vote on it, we just talked about it.
Mhm.
But that's a board decision, that's not something they have to vote on every year.
So the board decided on that 8-hour day. And the notification was out there for us.
That was,
to
that was
know
the direction that we had, and if you think that it wasn't communicated correctly, I'll
Okay.
take the credit, I'll take the blame for it.
Okay.
But, I mean, bottom line is 7:50 to 3:50, I mean, but if it's because I didn't communicate it well enough, then I take that.
But we were just wondering where it came from, if it was at a board meeting or what the.
Well, just over discussion that we've had over time, and we just, because
Even though-
if you leave at 3:35, you're ahead of the buses.
Correct.
Mhm.
Since we're going to 3:34.
When we extend.
And the thing is, the other thing that you're gonna get into next would be the half-day, full-day. We need to find out what's being paid on sub-time too. I mean, how that's being paid out. You know, cause when you start talking about hours versus periods versus days and things like that, so.
Yeah,
That'll lead
I
into
got
that.
though.
I know that'll lead you to that, but that's the, I mean, that's the whole thing. If you're not operating on an 8-hour day,
But the thing is, are you requiring your subs to be here at 3:50 then? Because subs can leave at 3:34. They can leave right when the kids leave when you have your subs. And they don't have to be here at 7:50. Subs don't have to be here at 7:50. They can be here at 8:20.
No, cause they get paid by the
They're
period.
getting paid by the
Because they
period.
get paid by the period, or the full day, which is gonna be from 8:20 to 3:34. It's not from 7:50 to 3:50, the subs. So they're not getting based on an 8-hour day. They're getting based on the length of our school day or our periods,
Which they, what they're saying, they're getting paid by period.
right?
that's what it
$20
is
a
now.
period, or $140
For
for the
7
school
periods.
day,
It's a
Yeah.
7 days,
From-
7 periods. yeah.
from
Student
8:20
day.
to
Yeah.
3:34.
Student day, I guess what you
Student
were
day.
saying.
Student day,
Yeah.
correct. I mean, I think our biggest concern with the extended, day is that the notification, of course, and then can we get to our appointments?
And
But
that's
I-
not.
I
We
guarantee-
talked to-
and-
I
we
told
talked
them
to
that, but
Mr. Severson.
And I said,
yesterday.
if you talk to us, we're not gonna say no.
And Mrs. Bussey said she was right away.
And
I
I've never
I
said
came from
no
a school
to
in a
anybody.
very similar situation. We dealt with it too, and if you look at the 8-hour days and the subs and when they're there, I mean, compare it to any other school around you or in the state, what are they doing? It's the same thing, you know? Like, I totally get being out in Noblesville, cause I came from there too, so we will be flexible. I mean, that's what we want. We
Okay.
want you to be able to leave and get to those appointments.
And that's perfect, we appreciate that. Now, here's our concern with the extended day.
Well,
Is it now that the board is gonna put this into policy? That time period is gonna be from 7:50 to 3:50, because now once you put in the policy.
No, they weren't gonna, that wasn't gonna be,
Lenient on it.
no, that wasn't gonna be a policy. We never talked about putting in
No.
policy, that was just, they were putting in the day, the hours for the day. That wasn't going in the board policy.
And I
guess
really-
didn't even realize that it was brought up on
I
any of
really
this.
need to, I have to say this because the conversation was not as intense as it has gotten.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I will be honest with that. We were just saying that when the school day changed, the student day, we're like, how can a teacher walk out the door at 35?
Mhm.
And that
Ahead
was,
of the bus.
that was,
That was the discussion.
that was the discussion. It was not make it an 8-hour day and by
Yeah.
God, they're gonna be there that 8-hour day.
Right.
It was never like that. It was so casual, so like when I caught wind of it, I was like, did we even talk about it? Because that is how minor of a discussion it was. And so I was feeling, when I received the first message I received on it, I was feeling like, why does the board think we need, you know, that's how it came across.
Mhm.
Like, why is the board saying this? And I'm like, remember the conversation, and so literally it was just a very casual
Well,
conversation.
and it's always been flexible.
Yeah,
I've never
Yeah.
said no, even the
So-
way that it was contracted to 3:35 is, you know,
People would
teachers, if
leave-
they don't
yeah.
have kids, is it okay if I leave at 3 o'clock?
Yes.
Or if I leave, yes, go ahead, you don't
Yeah.
have that. I've never ever once said no to anybody coming and requesting time off.
so I
So
feel,
it's never been an issue.
this is how I'm feeling, I'm just going with my gut right now. I'm just feeling, again, it boils down to communication.
Mm.
I feel proper communication was not given, and the understanding of it, I think is what it boils down to.
And the
That's my
concern that
opinion.
we are, we are 35, 40 minutes away from our appointments too,
Absolutely.
in the bank.
Mhm.
That's the main thing right there.
Mhm.
You can't get,
And
You know,
you
we
can't
can't
get a
get
doctor,
there.
you cannot get a doctor appointment or a dentist appointment or
absolutely.
any appointment after 4 o'clock.
but I'm hearing from the
Well, I
two
mean, but you don't have
principals.
appointments every day either.
No,
I mean,
That's
so I
just
mean,
it.
that flexibility
Yeah.
of that
And
would
I'm
be-
hearing from both of them, as well as Mr. Severson, that it's still
The
gonna run the
flexibility is
same
there.
way.
Cause this goes back to just when I was a kid, but you always kind of figured the teachers were roughly there from about 8 till somewhere, yeah. But
That we
between
never are.
3:30 and 4, depending on if somebody talked to them or you needed to meet them after school, but by 4 o'clock, nobody was there, that was by usually 3:45, everybody was
Been here
gone.
at 6 o'clock last night, there were still quite a few of us
I
here.
mean, that's my biggest too, like concern, like 1 minute, when do you follow up with parents? Like that was my time from 3:30 to 4, was like to make those phone calls if I needed to and to talk to them about things and I get it, you know, like I totally get both sides, but
And again, it's not like you're going every day, you know,
And I mean,
you know.
so I guess that's, as salaried professionals, that your hours are kind of flexible that way.
And I think we all know that you do put in the hours outside of that normal day.
Yeah.
Quite often, on weekends, evenings, I can't tell you, I mean, I already, yet last night and today have had multiple things come through on my 2 kids for kindergarten, and she's on her own time doing that.
Yeah.
So, and I think the administration gets that.
Yep.
So, again, I think it boils down to how it was communicated and how it was brought to you guys, I think am I right or no?
Well,
Am I-
that's part of it.
Okay.
I mean, that is part of it, but again, like I said, the other aspect is making sure that we can get to the things that we need to get to.
Right.
But we do understand that, yes, Mr. Severson did talk to us yesterday about that, and they are gonna be lenient about that, but yes, you guys are giving us a verbal commitment that we're not gonna put this in board policy, but that's a verbal commitment though.
So is it in good faith, I guess what I'm asking, so in good faith, we are.
But it's never,
Well,
it hasn't
That's
ever
why I
been.
guess
said
this-
so in good
yeah.
faith like we always
Yeah.
are. We, I mean,
It's- I don't-
we are here,
We're
I mean,
professionals, right? I mean, that's,
we love our kids and we will do
Yeah.
whatever we need to make our kids successful. And so, I mean, in good faith, that's what you're
We
looking
can
at,
leave
we
when we
will
need
keep
to.
that time without the,
yeah.
Getting it
Have we
written in
had-
your evaluation that, oh, she had 6 appointments this year and left at 3:35, you know, that kind of thing.
Have we had
3:34 and a
that
half?
period of time in the contract or in policy before? Have we had that, the time of day in
Not that I'm
contract
aware of.
or in policy before, prior to?
If it was, it hasn't been a while back. I mean, I can't think of when it's been anything lately at all that I can think of. Beth, you've been here, I mean,
41 years.
so I mean,
I
I'm asking you.
In
guys.
Wimbledon, we
No,
did.
I think I remember
the,
seeing it in their
years
contract.
ago,
In
years
Wimbledon.
I think it
ago,
was
I think it
one-
was in
May I-
North Central too.
Okay, years ago, it got put to 3:35, and 4 years ago, like you said, we spent how many minutes in negotiation talking about changing that from 7 hours and 45 minutes to 8 hours, and it was, but it was in policy. But I can remember the years Jerry Gotterman was superintendent at Wimbledon, if a person had a doctor appointment in Jamestown and they had to leave at 3:35, he made them take a half-hour sick leave or personal leave or whatever they had from that 3:30 to 4 o'clock, and that's the kind of thing we
Because
hate to see it go
That's,
to.
yeah, that's a concern, because now if new administration comes in, how are they gonna enforce that now? They're gonna enforce it differently? They're gonna say, no, you're not leaving early until 3:50.
Well, I think some of it is done by different administrations, been treated differently
Right.
in the past also. Like,
Okay.
we've never really set policy or anything, and there's never the intent to set policy in this
Okay.
at all.
Cause I
Again,
remember
It
with
was
Jerry
very
Gotterman,
minimal discussion.
teachers were in tears because they were pregnant and they couldn't go to their doctor appointments. So we've had, and I think you had it with the good doctor too, Wimbledon had it.
And
Where they
those
were.
times are generally building level decisions.
Right.
Because in most places, your elementary schools, your middle schools, and your high schools don't end at the same times.
Right.
So
Right.
the teacher required times vary.
More different.
So it's, you're not gonna find too many places where it's put in.
Well, even
to the
here,
contract. It's just,
it was, high school is always 5 minutes after elementary. It used to be. So I don't know if that's changed or if everybody's out at 3:34 and that's
Just
it.
when we left for the buses.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they got out 5 minutes to get the kids, the
Right.
little kids on the
we,
bus, and the
yeah, we
big kids.
dismissed at 3:30 elementary.
Yeah.
To be out there 4 minutes before high school.
but if you're, got different buildings in your district, your start and end times are different because your required school day lengths are different between elementary and secondary.
Yep.
So those end times and the teacher contract, the times, and that's not saying it right, but required time to be in building is usually set at the building level. This is the time that we want. Therefore, you have that extra time that if parents want to contact teachers, well, you have an opportunity, a time to be able to contact them. Not that they leave right after school, they're not there, so how can I contact them? It kind of eliminates that, but again, it's still open. I mean, we're not saying, no, you cannot go.
So what would you need to feel better?
Well,
Cause I
that's-
feel kind of this is where we're at, like I feel like you're leery.
Because what happened,
I think it's fair because when I was in South Dakota in top for 10 years, I was in that car accident, as you guys know, when I left. And first of all, I missed how many days of work, and then I needed speech therapy. And because I had to leave at 3:30 to get to my speech therapist because that was my time, they took that away from me. I ended up going with 3 weeks of unpaid work. And so that really concerned me.
But-
It happened to me.
So that's
We
on
just
your
want
mind.
you guys
Yes.
to understand
Yeah.
on our side of it, how
Yep.
concerned we are about this, because we do have appointments that we do make.
And
And
we
that was
try to
kind of
make
why
them
we
out.
went to that 3:35, is so that we could make those appointments after school.
And it's not to attack you guys.
Right.
It's-
So-
It's a safety zone for.
It's not the fact that
future.
we don't wanna be here at 3:50 or we're not here at 3:50, because
Many are.
we,
Yep.
you know,
Yep,
us
yep, we
teachers,
do.
we're here for even beyond that.
Yep.
So then where's the line, Mr. Schaefer?
Like,
Like 3:20, then we can take off 15, you know, like once we do
I
that,
don't think
there's a line.
I don't know.
I mean, I
don't
think what they're,
there's a time
Because
period,
then-
because it's the same. Yes, the last year it was 3:35, but you weren't having to leave at 3:35. You were having to leave before that to get to those appointments. It's still the same thing. You're
Yeah.
not gonna have an appointment where you have to leave at 3:40.
Yeah.
No, you're still gonna have to leave earlier.
Yep.
Nothing's really changing except it got extended 16 minutes, but all the things that you've been afforded before are still there. If you come to me or Mrs. Bussey and say, I need to leave at this time, okay, we'll get it covered. You know, just as it's always been. You know, not saying, no, I need you here till this time. No,
Okay.
you can't do that.
We understand that.
Are you
Yes,
worried
it's
about
a
being
verbal-
docked sick leave?
It's a
Is
verbal agreement, yes, we understand
Worried
that,
about it
that it is a
changing.
verbal agreement.
but you're worried about it
Parties.
changing
But
if
the thing
somebody
is,
else comes.
Things happen,
So,
people change, board changes, administration changes.
Right.
Who's to
So
say
you're
that
worried,
they're
that's where
going
your
to
worry
make
is
that?
at, is
Yes.
if there's changes
Well,
that come.
it happens, it has happened.
So what can we do
So
to
what are you
make it?
saying? You want us to lock you down for 8 hours?
Like if we were.
Cause
to
I
put
mean,
it-
the only way you could really get what you're asking for would be to pick those times and say, hey,
put
if
it
you
in
leave
stone.
outside of these time frame, that's it. I mean, we're kinda giving you the flexibility now. As a guideline, these times
If-
are set, but if
If you
we
put
need
in,
to say, this is it, then that's it,
if you put in the set time, that's a big if,
right?
there has to be an understanding that there's leniency, there has to be a guarantee that there's leniency with that. Those times that we can leave early to make those appointments, that's the guarantee.
That's what you're looking
Because
for,
we don't
something like.
have that guarantee necessarily, all we have is a verbal agreement, and you know
And
how
that's all
verbal
you've had in
agreements
the past though, right?
And
That's
we
all you've
haven't
had in the
said
past.
That's all
any
you said
times.
before, correct?
go, right?
But,
But
yeah,
now
we
it
had a
changes, but now all of a
verbal
sudden it
agreement, our
changes. The
time was
verbal agreement has changed.
3:35, and then yesterday we're told it's 3:50.
No, I know, but
No,
what
but-
I'm saying is to get to an appointment,
Yeah.
Right.
you know,
Even if we do still say it's 3:35, right? How does that make you feel better if there's nothing set in stone? If it's 3:35 and you guys
And
have
that's
to
how
leave
you've
at
been
3:20,
operating. I
we could just change and be like, well, fill out a blue sheet for 15 minutes.
Absolutely, the thing is, you
So
can change
how does
anything
this
with a
make you
verbal
feel
agreement.
any better?
Because it might not be this thing, it might be another thing that has been verbally agreed upon now too. Now we're changing these things. So now where's the trust with that though too? Is what we're kinda looking for.
I guess.
The notification wasn't there, first of all,
Yesterday,
yes, that's an issue.
finding it out yesterday, I guess, teachers just
We
lost
can't, yeah,
all.
we can't change that now.
Yeah.
I'm coming in, I talked to you like it
Yep,
was
you
well
told me.
known, I had
Yeah,
no
we
idea.
had no
So I'm
clue.
saying, okay, to move on, are we saying, okay, make it 3:35? Is that going to make you feel
I
better?
think you're gonna be fine with the 350.
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong, I think you're gonna be fine with
No
the
one-
350, but the thing is, what we're looking for now is the guarantee. That's the issue.
So how do
The
we give you that?
guarantee
Yeah.
is a verbal.
How do you
agreement.
want, how do you
How do you
get the
get-
guarantee?
Well,
That's what,
I don't know, that's what we have to
You guys,
discuss.
you have to stay in school board for the rest of your lives and pay for that.
Yeah.
So,
Students
what,
never leave.
Because
Write it
now,
in
yes,
blood.
we talked to Mr. Severson yesterday about this, and he said, yes, we are gonna be lenient about that.
What if he decides
Okay.
to leave next year?
What if he decides to leave? Now, all of a sudden, we have to get a new superintendent in.
Then
It's
it
the
should
same
be
as-
relayed to them from the principals.
Unless
If
we
all
all
three
leave
of us left at
together.
the same time,
Yeah.
you're not gonna have,
Okay, I got
a
a
mass
hard-
exodus of
my
9
hard
board
thing is,
members and
what-
3.
You're worried that a new principal would make you
Stay
use
with
sick leave or something, or what?
Yeah, the issue is, we'd have to take some time, paid time off, because we have to make
Well,
that.
I have to do that, so I got an issue with that. That you're worried, we just upped your sick leave to 80 days.
The thing is, the agreement, why we
You
went back to
didn't up it.
335,
You
why we went to
allowed us to
335,
build
this is
it
what the
more.
verbal
We
agreement
are
was.
doing our
Exactly,
own.
for,
Why we came down to 335 is so that we can try to make those appointments if we had to go to Valley City or Jamestown.
That's where.
That's
Okay.
why we brought it back down. That was the reason, that was a verbal agreement why we brought that back down. I remember that clear as day.
okay, when you started this conversation, Stacy, it was really mellow and it was all agreed on.
Yeah.
I think you're making it worse,
Well, I don't know.
personally.
And Mr. Wilson just said,
They're the bosses,
3:35,
whatever.
at 3:35, you can't get to an appointment anyway. Cause you guys said you can't, nothing made after 4.
But
So you have to
335,
leave
whatever,
early.
if we have 4:15 appointment.
Yeah, but you said you really can't get there before, they don't make appointments after 4. So, but what
I
I'm
don't know
saying is,
appointments.
like he just said, you had to leave early anyway. Most people were leaving at 3:15, 3:10, 3 o'clock to get to an appointment. And he said he's never said no to that. No, and I guess
Well,
I don't,
you'd have to take time off of that, some sick time off of that.
well, he didn't.
Have you done it last year, if you left before 3:35?
He didn't take sick leave away from
I'm
it.
not sure.
He didn't count it
But
a period.
right or
of it.
wrong,
I guess
no,
I'm not
if
sure.
they came to, is it, and it's great, they come and ask, you know, is it okay if I leave early? Yeah, go ahead, I know you do your job, I'm not gonna say no.
And I did once we had to get to a game in Moorhead at 5 o'clock, and I said, okay, can I leave, you know, and it was, I left like 3 o'clock or 10 after 3, and he did allow that.
So my question is to the board, like, what time is it okay for Mr. Wilson and I to say, okay, fill out a blue slip, otherwise we're,
My
I
feeling
think
is you're the
you guys
boss.
decide that.
okay?
You guys are in charge. You shouldn't
Do you
even
have
come
it
to us.
covered, and whoever has kids at that hour and they need to leave and it's covered,
I
it's
guess,
covered?
I don't see a concern. It's been-
professionals.
You've been
I
treated
mean,
that
that's
you
what
could
we
leave
are.
early, and it's still gonna happen.
I know the work they put in, I know.
you know,
I
and
know
that,
the work
I
they
guess
put in.
that's what I'm looking at, as far as, like you said, a verbal reassurance, I don't know how much more we could give you than that, cause it, quite honestly, if you want it in contract, or we had to put something in policy, that starts to tie everybody's
And
hands
you
on
gotta
stuff
put it
that
in
we
number.
don't.
We're not necessarily looking for that.
Here,
Well, we aren't either.
I
mean,
I think the biggest thing the teachers are concerned about, and correct me if I'm wrong, Stace, that we have a verbal agreement, we have handshakes, whatever. It just making sure we get that notification out to them in a timely manner, so that if something changes, they can come to us with plenty of time beforehand and say, hey, we're gonna have a problem. Can we look at this situation and come to an agreement instead of
The day before.
yeah, I mean, I think that if I'm not, is that kind of what you're saying
Well,
is
if
just,
it changes, it's gonna be about the new administration, so you won't have to worry about us bringing it to you.
right,
so, but I mean, I didn't even know that this was a problem, whether we changed anything.
yeah.
or-
I mean, I just
We
think,
didn't
I just
change
think one of
anything
those,
I think
board-wise.
the biggest concern is going into the next portion of it, which he hasn't even
Yes.
gotten to
Yeah.
yet,
Yeah.
because, right?
Yep.
That's gonna tie into it.
Yeah, so tie into it, because I think that'll clarify why
That
everyone,
may help us on
Yeah.
Plan
Yeah.
B.
The other concern that the teachers had was, the half-day, full-day
We were
with
informed
sick leave.
of
We were
that
informed that we
yesterday
had,
also.
now it's mandated that we have to take a half-day if we're gonna leave, or we have to take a full day for sick leave. So we can't schedule an appointment for being gone an hour, come back, and we still have to take that half-day of sick leave. And I don't remember ever talking about that in negotiations. And I think dealing with a sick leave benefit at teachers, I think that should almost be a negotiated item, if we're mandated to take a half day or a full day.
Well, I don't think we've ever, through negotiations, I've done it many years, we've never ever talked about how it would be implemented. We've always talked about how many
This
days
is
or
what you get.
whatever. I mean, we've never gone into the specifics of how it's implemented. I mean,
Just
I've
the
never
fact
had,
that, the mandation of what you can use a sick leave for.
what it could be used for.
Right.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep, days and what it could be used for. That's all the discussion that's ever been forever in that negotiation.
And
Not to throw anybody under the bus here, but how did that discussion come up on the half day or whole day?
Right beside you.
How that came up is when we had
Okay.
the discussion of, like last year, why I was in the classrooms so much. And I spoke of the difficulty of getting subs in here. And then we started talking about the half-day, full-day, and most were under the assumption, or weren't aware that it had changed to periods.
It's been periods for years.
Okay, so
Bakken, that was a recommendation by Joan, but we, the entire time we have been in this building.
I
and
asked for
years,
half days. I asked to leave at noon, and she said, no, take a full day, cause I can't get a sub for a half a day.
But the thing is, it wasn't
It was,
mandated.
it wasn't
She
mandated.
asked you, she requested that from you.
She told me to do it.
you guys.
She wouldn't allow me
Can I
to
put
take a half
little
day.
History on this, I actually wanna put a little history on this, because when JR told us that he didn't have, that he was filling in for hours, I was shocked, because this board has always known, from the time we reorganized, that we did half days and full days. We
No.
didn't think it ever changed. I don't know, between Mr. Jacobson and Mr. Severson, something changed. This board was never made aware of that.
We were by periods at North Central before we came here. Joan kind of recommended half days or full days because it was easier for her. And actually, when I used to be a substitute, so if the pay was $100 a day to get people to come for half days, they would pay them $60 for half day. So they paid higher for half days than they did for full days. But at North Central, we used periods.
Before
We
we
were,
reorganized?
yes, and from day one in this building, it has been by the period.
Okay, so day one in this building was under,
And if you
was
look
under
at
Mr. Lindahl, so, and
Yep.
seriously, for the board, that changed, we didn't know. And so, when JR said by the hour, we were shocked, because to us, it has always been a half day, a full day. And to
And
know
s-
that it's not been done that way was absolutely
And
astounding.
sub pay was always a half day or a full day.
Right,
Yeah.
I never got paid by a period. I got
Right.
right.
I
right.
got, extra for half day, like I got 60 for half day, I got 100 for a full day. My sub pay was always paid that way, and there were times I came in for 2 periods and they paid me half a day.
We're already off base, almost $20 per period thing with the sub.
So I mean,
pay
even
there.
what we've got in place, interpretation from the administration over the years has been interpreted or done
And
differently.
it's only been a couple years that we haven't paid subs by the whole day or the half day. Cause ask Rochelle Haugen. It's only been a few years that subs haven't got paid that way. But we've always been allowed to take a period off.
Okay, I'll,
And we were strongly encouraged to make our appointments at 8 AM and come in as soon as we could, or make our appointments where we could leave at 2:30, 3 o'clock, and only use an hour.
Yeah, but we're allowing you to take that hour and not charging it, so. Right now.
Right, yeah, kind of the way it would sit now, it would be.
and maybe I'm blowing it more out, you know, in my mind, it's more a problem than it really is. Because we always, you know, I remember covering down for, if Mr. Schaefer went for a basketball game or, you know, someone had a sick kid and they had to go home, whatever. I remember as a teacher taking my prep hour and going and cover that class.
And we
So
really
maybe
do.
it's not it's occasionally, once or twice, 3 times a year, not constant. In my mind, it sounds like it's like an everyday or once a week type thing.
No way,
Well,
How
I
much
think
are
it
you
got to
charging
that point.
no
That's
way,
why,
That was the whole point.
no
cause we
way.
got our principal sitting there covering classes that you can't call somebody and say, can you come sub for an hour?
Okay, Dylan drives bus, morning and after school. Why would, he lives 2 miles away. Why would you not call him to come an hour or two early, stay an hour or two, or come an hour or two? Never done.
Which I did, yes. He was in building, he subbed in building 31 times. He told me no 13 times, and some of those were for extended period of times. Okay, that's tied for third most in the building. The highest was 109 times by Rochelle. Then Patrick, being in building, he was the next one that I had to move around 97 times, use him in places and in that, okay? Then Mr. Lee was here 31 times, Rolene 27 times, Mariah was used 27 times.
Well, that was.
So, they're being asked, and I have no problem when they say no, and I say, and I tell them.
But
It's your
Patrick
choice.
was hired under the understanding, he accepted the job with the understanding he would get as much subbing as you could give him. And
For
that
the
you would
in-house
cover
stuff,
for
so
him.
his 97, most of those is covering 1 period here, an hour and a half here, all of those. If I wouldn't have had him, we would have had a lot of issues on getting classes covered.
Every time you asked for a cover, sent out an email and asked
Yep.
for a cover, and I would go in and say, did you find one? Yep, it's
Yeah, I
taken
got
care
it.
of.
No, I had to work at it and get other people to be here more than what, to make sure that we didn't have a classroom that wasn't covered. Whether that's using staff in-house, getting people in here for as much time as they could, we were able to get it. We were fortunate enough, and we have him again this year, to have Mr. O'Brien. Otherwise, we would have had issues. But that's the thing we have as a para. He's also a licensed teacher who can go into a classroom and sub. If he were to leave, I don't know if we'd be able to replace him with somebody that has that
So
same.
what's he
Yesterday, we
missing?
were
What's he
told-
missing when he's
Yeah,
subbing all
Study
this?
hall and online courses.
So who's
we're
taking
watching
care of
it.
that? The video cam?
Me.
From the video cam.
From the video cam though?
Sometimes, but otherwise I was in that classroom a lot.
And then and that's all the study hall and
The online, that's
and the
where it
online's
was
all
last
in
year.
there one room?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, which is why I had the camera put into that room in case I had to leave and something happened, I would be able to see what had happened in that classroom. Because there's schools that have unsupervised study halls.
Right.
Where students can roam the school and be wherever they want. So that's, what we were going there. Now, that room's not used for that. He's in the
And this will be
IT.
easy to lift the
Yep.
curtain,
Yep.
and the cameras are here, and I'm here,
Yep.
and this will be easy to lift the curtains.
That's
And-
crazy, that's a lot.
Because you said, what, he's got 6, 8 kids most?
Yep, the one period, I think he has 18 in there.
18 in there?
Mhm.
No wonder they were all lined up against the wall today.
I mean, you guys are having a lot more discussion than I. What are you looking for
I have
us?
another thing
Well,
I mean-
with the hours here, versus the half day. I have an appointment set up at 8 o'clock with SIG. Because I wanna set my appointment up so I can get back to the school as quickly as I possibly can. Appointment's done a half hour, they just take my blood, that's all they need to do for my physical. I'm done at 8:30, come back here at 9 o'clock. If I have to take a half day, I'm out till 12 then, right? So I'm back at 9 o'clock, half day until noon, that's 3 hours that I don't need to be here. So that's 3 hours away from my, sick leave. Okay, I do that 3 more times. Ends up being 9 hours. That's over a day of sick leave. Now, if I'm a teacher that only has 10 days of sick leave, those hours are huge to me throughout the year.
Can I ask one
Those are
question?
huge.
So if we went half day, full day like that, and Stacy had that exact
Situation.
situation, and he come to you and explain that to you, would
I
you
would
say,
get it covered in-house.
Right, and say, well, if you're back by 9:30,
We're
That's
good.
That's not what we were
But
told
we're,
yesterday.
I don't know if you can do it
well,
both
I
ways.
know
Is
that,
that
but
what
I'm
you
going
were-
back to my situation. I'm under the exact guideline as that. But my boss, I can go and if he'll allow it, he allows it. If not, I have to take 8 hours of sick leave. My next boss coming in, he might say, you're 8 hours of sick leave. I
That's
mean,
gonna be the building
to
administrators.
me, you guys are, you should be talking to them too, and it's almost like you're mad that he's making these decisions. He's the boss. I don't understand it.
Well, we're just trying to understand the sick leave benefit, why that got changed.
So,
to half days
okay,
to full days.
Explain, okay, if you went at that 8 till 9, just like, how much time would they take off for sick? Off your bank, or whatever you wanna call it?
That's what
Would
we're
be,
wondering.
How are they doing it right now?
it'd be a half day. I'd have to
No,
take
no,
half-
right
No,
now.
Before, last year.
If
No,
you
I'm
did
sure.
that,
None.
It'd be,
No, it'd be
well,
an
it'd be.
hour.
Well,
it'd be
maybe,
about-
it depends
Yeah,
on
it'd
what
be an
time you got back.
Yeah, depends on when I
Yeah.
came back.
If you miss
So
an
if
hour,
it
it's
if
an
it's
hour.
one period, I believe it would have been probably 1 hour then, if found out.
so if you got 7 periods in a day, say you took the 7th, this is exaggeration, but say you took the 7th period off 7 times, how many hours would come off?
Well, I believe, I don't know, that would be 7 hours, I believe. I don't know.
But
how
we
got-
give
how
you
I
8
calculated that.
hours for the day. So you start the year with 96. But if you took 7 periods off, you're gonna get 7 hours less, so I mean, we're just splitting hairs here a little bit, you know? I-
Okay, as a mom, and I have 2 kids, and now I'm pregnant with my 3rd, I have to go appointments monthly.
Yep.
And if I have to take a half day every time, even though I could do my appointment at 4 and only miss, and I have to take that half day, cause I have to go to Fargo, medically I have to go to Fargo. But I can get appointments at 4:30, so if I left at 3 or 2:30, I still have to take that half day, you know, that's happened
Instead of a
before.
period.
Or,
I'm just asking
where
how-
before, it's just been the 2 hours that I've gone, say I left at 2:30, and it was just 2 hours that I lost, rather than 4 hours, you know?
That's what I'm just
So
asking how it's
every
tracked
single
right now, is what
hour
I'm asking.
counts.
So
And
it
back
is-
to my point, it could still be half day, full day, but on a base by base case.
If we
Why can't you go to your boss and say, this is my, yeah, we can work with you on that.
This is
And-
our form,
But
AM,
the thing-
PM.
But that's our form now, is AM.
With,
So your form right now, what was it last year, AM,
It
PM?
had periods.
no,
Yeah,
period.
Circle, so I'm gonna be gone 6th and 7th period. But I don't
So
have
then
to
they took 2
circle
hours.
4th.
So it went from having the 1 through 7 and then the enterprise, it just half day, full day, and then under the half day it says AM, PM. So are they
Okay.
gonna be gone in the morning or are they gonna be gone in the afternoon? And we designated that from the beginning until noon or noon on.
Can she write on that piece of paper and ask for exception and then hand it to you?
Or
Yeah.
why did we
Yeah.
change the form?
Ease probably.
The
Mm.
problem goes back to what Mr. Wilson said. If I call somebody in the middle of here, and I've already done it multiple times, so I see it from both sides, say, hey, can you come and sub for 7th period? And they're like, well, I have to drive out there to sub, if we can't get it covered in-house,
Mhm.
which Mr. Wilson's been doing, from what it sounds like. So, I mean, that's the issue.
But that's,
Well, the
that's
other
another issue we have, then you got
is
your
in-house.
principal covering teacher stuff. That's the issue. Then it's
And-
taken
and then
away
the
from his
principal's
job.
not doing their job.
The principal's
Exactly,
not doing
yeah.
his job. So that's another issue. So,
I-
you know,
It sounds like it should just be case by case the way it's always been. Cause that's the way it's always been, right?
So,
So
Am I
the
right?
clarification that I'll want and to get the okay is so if Schaefer comes in and, like he said, if I can get back by 9 o'clock, and if I feel that from within, then is it okay if they only get docked that 1 hour? Or whatever, that they're gone rather than the half day?
Well, that
but
would
if we're
seem
covering
like-
it, are you docking them
As far as.
Cause that's what you said before, they're not getting docked,
They're
if you're
not
covering.
For,
So my
for,
that's
the only time that they
if
get,
it was a full
they'll
period.
get docked
is
is
it's a
if
full period.
I have another teacher who's having to cover that for them, because that teacher needs to get paid for doing that, so that's gotta come from somewhere. So if it's me covering it, No, I just cover it.
But then we'll be
And
covered.
then it doesn't get,
Do a lot of teachers fill that form out? I've been here how many years and I've never asked for sub pay when I've covered for a
I
teacher.
haven't either. I never asked last week.
I have never asked for sub pay
well,
when I
it gets
covered for a
marked on
teacher.
there.
It gets marked on there.
So
But
there's
I've never received money for it. It's not added to my paycheck because I've never
Should be.
put it down. There's a book you sign in. I've
Wow.
never done it.
I haven't either. I just covered.
That's not the question.
That's what we do for each other.
But that's not the question though.
Yeah, cause when that gets sub-cover gets marked, you should be getting paid for that.
But that's
There's
a
a
whole
book
nother
we
issue.
have
That's
That's a whole nother
that's a whole different
issue.
issue.
Go back to what you're asking. Does
Okay.
person
so-
covering get an hour pay?
So if,
No.
Or docked an hour
Docked,
from
docked an hour, thank you.
one sick
Sorry.
hour instead of
Yes.
4 sick hours.
Has that the way it's
What
been
are our
done?
students losing every time you have somebody leaving their classroom and working 2 classrooms at the same time? What, we're missing
We're
something.
covering during our preps. We're not covering during our classes.
Yeah.
We have a prep hour.
and it happened, that happens, rarely, because we don't have enough teachers that have preps. A lot of them have preps at the same time, you know, like this weekend. So it's hard to get that covered, whatnot.
How many do we have prep hour at the end of the day or the start of the day? That's where the issues
I
are.
think we
There's some
looked,
preps.
there's like,
That's what, yeah.
I think there's a couple periods where there's
there's
not
only like
prep
2 periods where
with a
a
teacher.
high school teacher
Can,
doesn't
can
have.
we say it this way? If you have to bring an outside sub, they have to take a half day or full day. Because you have to pay for that sub for a half day or full day. If you can get it covered in-house and they give you enough time in-house, then do what you've always been doing. Can we,
Here's my,
But,
here's my
okay.
question
What if
with
we
that
have-
real quick.
But her 2 periods is different than covering 1 period,
Here's one thought,
you know.
with
She
the
needs
sick
2
leave, that is a benefit to the teachers. Right, sick leave is a benefit to the teachers.
It's on the contract
It's
as a benefit.
It's in the benefit package. yeah.
Should implementation of the sick leave, be
Changes.
negotiated?
No, it's not changing. It's what as a school board, we thought we've always done. What administration has done is irrelevant. This is what we've always thought it was. So we're not changing anything. We're going back to what we thought it always has
Wow.
been. And the fact that we didn't know, or that we didn't realize someone had changed it. Yeah,
But we trust the
So in
administration.
6 years, you've never realized that we've been in this building and you've been on the board, you've never realized that our sick leave is by period.
No.
What did we do in Wimbledon, Courtney, Chad? I thought we just listed down the hours that we were gonna be gone, and that's
We
what we were
did.
docked.
Yep.
Because it wasn't half day, full day. It was listed by.
Yeah,
It was the same thing
but-
at North Central.
But it was also by covers too. If you're gonna be gone, say, after lunch, those last 3 periods of the end of the day, they took you a half day. It doesn't matter if it's 3 hours or 4 hours.
It was after lunch.
Yep.
It was before lunch, after lunch, if
Yeah.
you're gone that before lunch, it was
Yeah.
half day, after lunch, it was half day.
Right.
But it was still based on hours, because we had to put down hours, I believe. We got docked by hours, I think.
I guess I didn't look
'Cause I don't
close
think-
enough,
I
but
don't think it was half day, full day.
the only reason I always said was Joan always told me, don't take a full day, cause I can't get a sub for a half day in the afternoon.
I don't think it was mandated, though.
Well,
That's what she wanted.
I
But
wasn't,
that's where it
I
comes
wasn't
down
gonna,
to the
I wasn't gonna fight
That's
with
what-
my
that's where they're
administrator
at.
saying,
That's what they're asking for. you know.
And I think the fact, his numbers, those are outrageous numbers, the amount of time that he's had to fill. That's not good. We have to find some way to fix that.
Why?
You coming
If
from-
they're a benefit, how are you gonna fix it? I mean, they belong to us, you know.
Fill
I
each
have-
other.
Why is
Right
the,
now-
the benefits not being
What?
taken away?
No, you're using it.
You're changing how I have to use it, though. You're changing the benefit.
But I might be wrong, but you've changed the benefit somewhere too, if you're taking some time off at 3:15, but we're not docking you anything.
We didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Well, go back on our side, we didn't know things have changed on our side either.
I
You know, so I mean-
assumed that, I I assumed that was, I was getting some sick leave taken off.
Yeah.
Well, and see, that's kinda
So,
where we're
but-
at, I think, we're
Beth,
trying to sort out,
You're worried about
where does
that
that
benefit,
line
but you don't use the other
cross
benefit.
over?
I'm confused. You don't use the sub benefit.
This sub thing will never affect me. I'm sitting at, today, as of today, I'm sitting at 71 days. I had 59 days, I think I used 2 last year, 59 point something. This is not affecting me. It is affecting people like Krista and Lisa and Alicia and all those people that have tried to make their appointments as late as they can in the day, to use as few hours as they can in the day, or as early in the morning as they can, to use as few hours so that they don't have to ever go days without pay. I don't care, cause it's never gonna affect me. In fact,
One thing
never
about
say
that too,
never.
though,
Yeah.
that I wanna pipe in, is that I got an email, and it was, I'm the sole person that takes care of my kid, cause my husband's a farmer. That's not, that kinda kicked me below the belt. I take my kids to the doctor, I take my kids to the dentist, you know, she's not the only person in that household. I was pretty upset about that.
Well, I'm listening to all this too, and we talk about not being able to make appointments. I can't get many appointments before 8 and after 5. 12 months out of the year. So something's gotta give here. We gotta make some kind of decision on how we're gonna
He
do this.
just asked for it.
Yeah.
He just said, is it okay if he can make that decision?
Yeah.
And we
I
said
mean,
yes.
we said yes,
We said yes.
but we're still arguing about it. That's
And I have
What
less,
decision is that?
base by base case.
I
So
guess
he
the-
wants, I understand if he wants half day, full day, so it isn't getting abused no more. If it was getting abused, I shouldn't say getting abused anymore, but, so people aren't abusing it. But if, like, you have to go to Fargo, that's a legitimate excuse.
How is it getting abused though?
I did,
How
I
many
said,
days
so
did
it
he
doesn't get
mark
abused or
off?
it isn't.
200 and some
Well-
days, covering an hour?
Yeah.
You have,
That's-
you have 28 full-time teachers. That's less than,
No, that was 90, for Mr. O'Brien, it was 97 instances where I had to use him.
period, of the day.
But, no, just times that I had to use him. Now, those varied from 1 period here, an hour and a half
right.
there, 2 hours. It
Half a day.
varied because I could use him if a teacher came to me and goes, I gotta leave at 1:30. I'm not getting a sub in here at 1:30 to cover those 2 hours. I mean, yep, go ahead, I can get Mr. O'Brien, we can slide it in,
Yep.
we got it good.
So 97 times, at least 1 hour, that's 2 weeks
Yep.
worth of work right there that we're just giving away.
And that's just one,
Not just one.
And that's just
when
one
there
of them.
was 3
But
others
you
at
will
30.
be able
But
to
the thing
get-
is, okay,
it's-
so the thing is
it-
now, if you go a half day, now you have to pay that sub teacher that half pay. So
So,
now there's double pay there, cause you're paying the teacher and you're also paying that sub.
That's what we're saying there, you know.
we're trying to avoid that.
And that's
and-
what we're
So now if
looking
you only
at
pay
too.
the teacher, if you only pay the teacher that's on the prep, that 1 hour, they're only getting paid $15 compared to that $20.
Now you gotta pay a sub $68.
And that might only be one
That would
period, or
be
that might only
$80.
be 2 periods.
Okay, but didn't we just say he can do that? That he can,
Yeah.
that
He has that discretion.
he has the discretion to say,
To swing that
Yeah.
So I
guy.
think we-
Administration has that discretion.
Now we're competing with each other for subs.
Yeah.
right? Am I,
They have the discretion to determine if it's
To
based
say-
on based on the situation.
So is the form going
well,
to
if they
change?
can say,
I
what, if
mean,
you need, if
we
you have
knew
that 8
nothing
o'clock,
about it
he
till
can say
yesterday.
that. He can go,
I guess I didn't hear
Get-
Mr. Wilson say that he was gonna do that. I'm sorry, I didn't hear that. Or is it?
No, I
I know
asked,
you guys asked.
He
I
asked.
asked permission, they all
And
said yes
we
that I
said
can,
yes,
so
that he
yes,
can do
that's why I suggested, I wanted to get it out, is this, cause Mr. Severson and I talked about it earlier, and go, you know, if this goes the way that it has gone, you know, if I throw this out, you know, hopefully that will appease both sides. That if you come and go, I'm only gonna be gone an hour, yeah, I can get that covered and you're only gonna get docked an hour. But because everything needs to be brought here, that's why I wanted to hear it and go, yes, it's okay to do that, because most of them were unaware that it went from half day, full full day to what it had been.
Just
So,
as you were unaware, our board was unaware that things have changed and switched to hours.
Well,
And-
for the
and-
most part, they have been hours though.
For the,
It's only a couple
and
of
since
years
we've
where
been
they
in,
have paid.
the form's been the same, since the day we've been in this building, the form was
We've
the
never
same
seen
at
the
North
form.
Central.
We've never seen it.
Yeah,
I haven't filled one out.
We don't see that in-house.
You know, we
form.
don't
I
know
mean,
that stuff, so.
and Amy, do you, unless they come in and fill out that paper they covered, have you ever paid anyone?
Some cover all the time.
Cause I've
Mr.
never,
Wilson marks it down.
cause I've never turned in a form, seen a change in my check, anything. And I've done it numerous times. And I think, because I think some of us just kind of taken upon ourselves to help each other out.
Yeah, you just kinda float and fill that in.
But
when you
this
can.
discretion
That's
part,
not
how
the
do we
question.
go from, we're letting you go with not taking off time to, I mean, how are we gonna?
What?
The 3:15 things, if you're not taking them off in the past.
yeah. So, you're at, is.
My
that
question is,
what
if there's discretion, how are you gonna decide, okay, he leaves at 3:15, I'm gonna take a half hour or not?
No, it's
or-
only, it's an hour,
If
right?
You're
it's
gonna
a
take-
period,
It's a full hour.
So what if you leave in the middle of the period? You take the whole period,
Or you take half a period.
or you taking a half a
Have
period?
it-
I've
Or
done
you
it
just
once.
let
I mean,
them
that's
go.
what, I'm just saying, it's such a gray area.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and personally, I didn't take anything.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
and I've
So
done it one time in 6 years.
You know, I didn't
we've
take
been here.
anything, you know, leaving early.
So
you
we've
know,
been
you're-
benefiting you guys
Yes, yeah.
over time. How
Until
many
today, I
times?
would have never even known that anybody got deducted when they left an hour.
That's what I'm saying. We've benefited.
I would have
you.
thought they would have just said, go ahead and go. And
Yeah.
If it's an hour, you take off a period. If it's a full period, but I know once in the last 6 years, I've asked to leave a little after 3. It was on a
I
Friday.
guess I've very seldom experienced that.
So I mean, is there a lot that leave just within that last half hour that you gotta cover the end of the day?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of it.
That's
Yeah.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I mean, we've been
Which
benefiting you
is-
with that. You know
I
that
mean, most
many
of the
times.
times I've left, early is
For
because of activities,
Correct.
extracurriculars.
Yep.
And that has nothing to do with
No.
sick leave.
No.
So I very seldom have ever experienced it. I don't even know if I've ever experienced it.
But
I
apparently
know
there has.
I know I was 8 minutes late for our in-service, but I told Mr. Severson that.
But I mean, apparently there has been a lot of
Doc,
that.
Well, then that comes back to a lot of these sub-fill-ins that he's talking about, or a lot of those coaches having to go to events and games. You know, so
Yeah,
that,
and
So
then,
that-
you know, like last year.
that's a
was the
whole
first
nother
year
area.
Yeah.
Since I was here,
Part
that
of
we had a
those
lot of
covers
coaches
are
that were
that.
on staff that
Yep.
had
Go
to
for it.
leave
Yep.
early, and we just got that covered
Yep.
from within,
And
and,
Mr. O'Brien covered a lot of that.
yeah.
And if that's part of Mr. O'Brien's that you have on the 97 times that he's covered, well, that has nothing
But
to
some
do
of
with
that
sick leave.
is other teachers though, like Mr. Samuelson,
Right.
because he had a student, he was able to cover those Mrs. Heinze, because last year, more teachers had scattered prep times to be
Yep.
able to cover those. So it got covered by those teachers being able to do
Correct.
that.
Well, I don't know what needs to happen, but how I'm feeling right now is that it got blown out a little bit because of communication. So I think we're all, or most of us, are on the page that it is what it is, however it's written, or whatever was said yesterday, but nothing has really changed. Is that what I am understanding? Yes? No?
Yeah.
What do
You're
you mean
saying
by
no,
nothing
well,
has
I
really
feel like
changed?
it's, I feel like, well, other than the form, but the form can be changed again. I mean, it sounds like if you go to your boss and say, whichever one it is, depending on the wing of the building you're in, I have an appointment at 3 o'clock, can I leave at 3:20? She or he is gonna go, yes, that's fine, as long as I can get it covered, and odds are they're going to, and nothing.
And if you can't cover it, then you have to
But-
hire a sub, then they have to be on a
Yeah.
half a day, is that what you're kinda asking?
Yeah.
For us to say that?
No, because in that example, I'll never get anybody in.
Yeah.
Right.
That
First,
will
okay.
always be covered from
In-house.
within.
Okay.
Whether it's myself, Mrs. Bussey, Mr. Severson, those get covered from within. It's the ones where I gotta leave at 1 o'clock, or I gotta leave at 12:30.
Well, then that is a half a
That's a
day.
half a day.
I mean, that to me, if you're leaving anywhere between 12 and 1, that's a half a day. I mean, you're gone.
Or you're not coming in until 10 or 11.
Yeah.
Yeah, or if you're not making it till
till
10 or
I still
11,
think
that's a
we
half a
leave
day.
it- Leave it to, that's their job.
Yeah, that's their job.
There, you know, the
And if he
the
wants
thing I
that
can't wrap around is a lot of gray areas. Our cutoff is at noon for half day, full day. Right, at half day would be up to noon, or noon to 3:35, right, or 3:50.
Yeah.
Um, say get back at 12:30, or I can get back here at 12:30.
We could beat around the what ifs
All
all
the-
night
No,
long,
Like I
Mr.
said,
Schaefer.
That's a
there's
half a
lot of-
day.
There's a lot of gray areas, right? There's a lot of
So,
gray-
Half a day.
That's half a day.
Well,
If
I
you
don't
want
think
it
you want it
concrete-
wrote in stone, what
Yeah.
you can do and what you
And then
can't
we
do.
follow that.
You're gonna come out.
Way on the bad
behind.
end.
But the thing is, what we don't want as teachers is all of a sudden now, this teacher here got this for their sick leave, but all of a sudden this teacher came in, they didn't get it for their sick
And
leave.
then we'll follow it in black and white too.
Well, I don't know how we can fix it other than to
Our option.
set it in stone and call it good. We're gonna be here all night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you wanna,
We're lenient now, we better leave it that way.
And if you wanna change it, I mean, when you write something down set in stone,
It's
you
gonna-
are
we're gonna
stuck to
follow
those
it.
rules forever.
We're gonna say you gotta be back at
It takes the
12:15
leeway out of it.
to make it a half a day, and you get here at 12:30
Then it
or
jumps to a day.
whatever.
I mean, if you, that, I don't think that's where
But
you guys
again, we
wanna
went
go.
from periods from the last few years here to now it's half day, full day. That's what
It-
happened. We went from
Yesterday,
periods
we were told
to now
half day,
half day,
full day.
full day.
We had
And
this conversation at a board meeting, and we talked about it openly. How come did nobody, what happened that nobody heard that? I mean, we talked half day, full day, and we had this very conversation. So I don't know
It was not
where
as
the
in-depth,
surprise
though.
was.
It was not like this.
I don't think it was in a board meeting.
Yes, it was.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was.
it was,
Yes, it was, and it
Was
was
during
very
your-
casual.
it was
'cause
during the
there's no
negotiation
minutes or
times.
anything.
Yep.
Well,
We
there was
would've
no
been able-
motion.
There was no motion.
There was no motion,
There
there
was
was
no
no,
motion.
it was just a,
Discussion.
But it
Mr.
wasn't
Wilson
open
mentioned he had a
discussion.
difficulty finding subs. That was,
way
that
He
was the
wanted to
conversation.
know if he
Yesterday
had
is the
the
board
permission to do what he wants to
wanted
do.
Well,
it
it was
half day, full
that,
day.
and it was, well, it's always half day, full day, and when did it change? Nobody knew when it changed,
Right.
then, you know, we're just gonna keep it at the half day, full day.
Yeah.
That's what it
that,
was,
that,
so
that was,
that's how it
that was the understanding was, we were always under the impression it was a half day, full day. And that's where it came out, where the board said it was a half day, full day. Cause we were always under the impression that it was a half day, full day. We don't know.
With some leeway.
Well, yeah, but,
We
but
don't know if
that's
there's
up to the
leeway.
administration. we've hired 3 administrators
To run that.
to run the day-to-day business. And if they choose to
Let you leave
let you
at
leave for
3
45
o'clock,
minutes
yep.
and before the end of the day,
Yep.
that's their call.
Totally fine.
Chad, you always said it was always half day, full day. You have not been gone that many years. The
And-
entire time we've been here, it's been by period.
But
But
like
not
I
to
said
the board, it
earlier,
wasn't.
when I asked for a half a day or I asked for a couple hours off, Joan would always say take a full day because I can't find a sub. And Stacy was saying that it, you know, that was her, what she liked to do, but it wasn't set in stone.
But if you're told by.
But if
your
I was told by
administrator-
administrator to take a full day because that's what I can find a sub for, that's what I had to do. I know Lisa gets paid by the hour, so she had the PTO hours. I get paid by the day, so I was, you know, taking the half day, full day. I wasn't gonna sit and argue with my administrator. I said, check Raj, and moved on. I know there was times that if I needed, you know, if I had a 7th hour prep and I needed to go to a doctor's appointment or need to take the kids, yes, she would let me out of the building, cause I didn't have any students.
We're done.
So I don't think we wanna get to the point where we're gonna put locked in stone days, times, any of that, cause it's.
He's willing to work with it right now,
He's been working with it.
and we can
If
put it in
was portrayed
stone.
to you that way,
I
we
think it
can't
has-
go backwards.
I think
Here's where
it
we're
has-
going
I
from
think
here
with
out.
the teachers, it has been portrayed that way, and I
Cause
think they were told
yesterday,
that
we
way.
were told
just
it
need
would be half day,
clarification.
full
I
day.
think they were
That
told
was
that
the
way.
first we knew about it, and
Well-
yesterday
And
we
we
were
can't
told
change what
it
was
would
said,
be
but I
half
mean-
day, full day.
I think in the past, it's been at their discretion. That's who we as a board are allowing to do that. If you're asking us, we've never known it's changed, cause we don't see forms, we don't have the day-to-day business. Just like you said, you didn't know how things, some things you just don't know change, cause you're not involved in it. These guys are willing to work with you, however it is. I think in the past, you've had the benefit of not getting docked for times, and so I don't think we're looking to change that, unless you really want to.
I think that's great.
You know.
But when we're told that it's half day, full day, that's not really working with us, that's telling us that it's gonna be mandated half day, full day. Now, if they're willing to work with us, yeah, that's great, that's all we wanted.
Well, that's
Same
what
thing
they're
with-
selling us.
That's what we're-
Same thing with the time.
That's what I guess we're telling you, I think they're echoing that tonight.
Okay.
But that
And that's
wasn't
why
all
that's why we wanted the board,
Yeah, I
that's
understand
not what it was, that's what
Basic-
we wanted to address
Yeah.
tonight.
Now we are, yes, now, that's why we brought it.
Administration wise, is that, you got any questions? I mean, it's still gonna be dealt
Yeah.
with as you,
And I mean, they're still gonna do the same things. When they come in and hand me the blue slip, they're gonna give me an explanation like they always do on what it is, and then, you know, can I take this off, or are you gonna be able to get this covered? All of that stuff, that's still,
what you're.
That's
gonna
still-
do.
Was this in
Would
the
it
teacher
going
meeting?
back to a different
Was-
form help?
Cause I mean, I have to today I circled half day, when really I only need to be covered for 2 periods, you know, so,
Can you just write it in?
yeah, I could, I mean,
Couldn't you-
yes, but we were told
Told
yesterday.
yesterday it had to be.
It had to be half
Well,
day.
I got a
full.
question. So yesterday, what kind of meeting was it? You
It
with the
was the
teachers?
In-service.
In-service meeting. So did a teacher ask you,
Ask.
any of you this question
Yes,
afterwards?
yes, we did.
They talked to me about it too, but since I kinda jumped in, not knowing where it was, I guess the problem that I see with it is, for example, Mrs. Jones is going to be on from 2 to 3:30, and I was like, why even look for a sub that covers from 2 to 3:30, I'll just do it for her. Then, you know, when we clarified this half day, full day, I'm like, well, you're going to Fargo, do you wanna take the half day, or, like, I still thought there was a gray area, like, I don't know, cause to me, it sounds like giving in to take a
But
mile.
what I seen was an administrator giving and saying,
Go ahead.
go
I'll
ahead
cover
and
you.
go, I'll
Yeah.
cover it.
Yep.
But we can change that.
But like, how much
But
do you
that's
want
what-
is in there, you know, for
Right.
She
those
only talked to
circumstances?
the elementary staff.
I think as a teacher, them saying half day, full day before I even came in as administrator, as a teacher, I'd be like, I'm not taking a half day, I'll make it work another day. I'll make my appointment this day on Labor Day, which I'm doing with my kids, like, as a teacher. And I asked Mr. Wilson, I said, do we provide incentives for our teachers for attendance? Well, I know, isn't that, yeah, that's
But-
part of it, but I just am like, with how much,
Well, we tried to do
I've-
that by paying for unused time.
yeah,
So I mean,
yeah.
I would call
But
that
with how many
incentive.
blue sheets are coming in, like even
That's
as a
where
new
we're hearing from
administrator,
the
I'm just.
administration and that, how many blue sheets are coming in.
And that's why we negotiated for that incentive as well, to try to get some of these
Mhm.
teachers not to take so much
Not-
sick leave,
Correct.
Right.
and that's why we tried to do
That's why
that.
we did that and that's why we
Correct.
raised that pay, yes.
Correct.
Cause that's what we want, what can we do to keep them in the class?
Okay, so that was the
And that's
incentive.
why,
That's the
and
incentive.
again, that's
Besides what we
why,
can check.
that's another reason why, okay, if I have an appointment at 8 o'clock, I'm back here at 9 o'clock, I'm back in the classroom, but by what we were told, we had to come back at noon, cause we had to take that
So-
half day.
So I got quite, so 8 o'clock, so do they take exactly minutes? You're saying it's hour no matter a period? How do you track the time? I guess that's what I've asked
I guess
Mr.
I
Sears, how does it
I
track?
don't know how it's been administered.
That's what we gotta find out.
Yeah.
Cause I don't know.
If it's been by the period, if it's 1 hour per period or whatnot, I don't know.
It's 1 hour per period.
So then, that's my question, okay, so if we're doing 1 hour period, that's 7 hours a day, but we're giving them 8. So then really we should give them 7 hours per day, not 8. If we're gonna track them by that way,
Yeah, 7 hours of sick leave would be 1 day.
would be 1 day, not 8 hours, if we're only taking 1 hour per period.
Well, you have the lunch period and also the homeroom period.
Homeroom period,
So that's another additional period right there. So
Yeah.
that would be 8.
So would be.
that's
That would
your.
be
So they get the
considered 8
full
hours
8
of the
hour
day.
So we
Yeah.
get your full 8 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
So we do have another so-called period in the day.
Built
We just
in.
don't call it a period.
Built in,
Yeah.
okay.
Right.
well, that all gets the day
It gets the whole
with
8
the
hours.
750
It's a whole
to the 350. a 7.5 hour day.
Correct.
So,
Back to one of your gray areas.
One of the gray areas.
Yeah.
Because now we still have teachers that are with kids during that lunch period.
Do you guys wanna meet as a union and we can come back to the discussion? Or you can talk to us during the school day? Would that make you feel better? Cause right now I'm honestly just looking at the clock saying it was the first day of school and I have 2 kids with random people.
I agree with you.
No, I'm
I
just
think,
kidding.
yeah,
Mr.
I
Wilson,
I guess,
want it from the board?
if it
But
would
I-
have been
Right.
presented,
Yeah,
But-
first of all,
I mean,
ahead of
meet-
time,
meet
and the
with
way
them.
it was presented yesterday,
Okay,
it
but
put
now we got some
everyone right
clarification.
there.
So meet as a union, come back, visit with us, please, about it, if you have any more questions moving forward. Can we
I
call?
think-
because
can we
Mr.
say that?
Severson apologized an hour and a half ago.
And Mr. Wilson said that he turned 0 people down last year that wanted appointments, so we're having an argument about something
That didn't
that
exist.
he's al- that it's, you've always had what you've needed, and he's provided, so. Let's not put it in black and white, I think black and white is bad. I mean, it ultimately works against teachers, whether you guys see it that way or not, but.
And to
I
be
would
honest,
hope
you
we
guys are
don't.
very lucky that your board is saying that, cause not a lot of boards do.
Yeah, most people would just
So,
tie it down and be
yeah.
done with it.
And then we follow it
Yeah.
with black
Yeah,
and
'cause
white.
once we put them here to here, they're gonna have to follow there to there, and there's no gray. You've got a lot of leniency right now, Stacy.
Well, and that's what we were kinda looking for. We weren't necessarily looking for the set in stone stuff.
You just
But-
felt
but we
slightly
just felt that
threatened
now
that-
it's on- now
That
it's
all of a
mandated.
sudden
Yeah, but
yesterday
how do
we
we
were told,
fix
oh, by
that?
the way, you take half a day or full day.
Okay, I'm taking, okay, I'm gonna be a
Yeah,
devil's
so
advocate.
why is that
I'm
wrong?
taking
'Cause
this,
that's part of how
I'm
it's
taking
being-
this as
Because
you guys are
it's
coming to board
For
meeting
6
tattling on
years,
your boss.
It's been,
That's how I
Doesn't
take
matter what
this.
it's been.
I don't like it.
this, and then the day before school, all of a sudden you go, oh, we changed this.
I mean, let's be honest about that, and the timing, the communication on it. Whenever a supervisor comes to you with a change, it's a change that's gonna be changed.
Exactly.
You don't have, well, you didn't give me enough time to get this changed, okay? That, I just, you know, I understand the frustration part of having to signify a half day from, or a whole day from the periods part. I understand, you know, that, not wanting to give that up. I understand both sides, you know? But the other thing is too, I don't think I've ever been unreasonable when it's come to giving that stuff off, ever, while being here. And to sit here and be made to feel like I'm just throwing down the gauntlet and this is just unreasonable and whatnot, when we agreed, I got their agreement an hour ago, and we're still going on about this. That it should have been over a long time ago. You know, but we're still sitting here, and, you know, Mrs. Bussey kinda getting irritated looking at the clock or whatnot, I mean, why? Why are we still talking about this?
We're either gonna let it go or we're gonna put it in stone.
One or the other, yeah.
And they're not gonna like in stone if we go one way or the other. If we say half day, full day, you're not gonna like that. If we say hour by hour, you'll like that. So which way is it gonna go? We take the leniency or we put it in stone?
I think you say half day, full day with leniency, quite frankly, which is what they're doing now. They actually need us to back them if they need it. And,
To
I-
eliminate some of the numbers.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah.
So can the
especially-
teachers who were told yesterday, half day, full day, like Alicia that filled out a slip after we were told that, may she go put 2 periods?
She should go visit with
It's up
her
to
boss.
him, yeah.
Yep.
Isn't
Well,
that-
It's
That would
totally up to him.
That's an
Well,
individual
and I discussed it
basis.
with him, this one I do have to take a half day, cause I have to go to Fargo and
Yeah.
Northampton too.
And
But I only have
That needs to
class.
be, that needs to be individual and
Right,
Mr. Wilson's
but I'm
office.
just saying, but
And
the,
that conversation that
yeah, that
we
did
had
happen.
always happens
Yeah.
when somebody brings me a blue slip.
Yeah.
You brought me one today, explaining, and then you explained the other one too. That stuff's always happened, and go, yes, we can get that. I'm just sitting here a little frustrated on why it's still going. It's just that communication, was it
hard to do? No,
We appreciate, what we appreciate now is that knowing that there is leniency. We
Yeah.
do appreciate that because we didn't know that part of it.
Yeah, we
We
had
appreciate
no
the
idea the way it
leniency
was
with that.
Did you
presented
ask that
yesterday.
if there was any leniency?
When was, I don't know when it was brought up during that in-service.
But where are we going? Where are we gonna end this?
I think we're gonna end it with handing it to these
I mean-
leaders to do
We're
their
at
job.
it right now.
Everybody's apologized for not communicating something, we've given leniency, but it's 9 o'clock and we're still here,
I think it's just the explanation to Mr. Wilson and Mrs. Bussey with it.
okay? Because if we lock it down, I know what I would have voted for an hour ago, but I know what I'm gonna vote for now. So, we probably better end this. Cause I'm thinking they're doing a good job with the leniency.
I think so too.
And
That's what
He has to take all the credit. I communicated it totally wrong to my staff, but I'll take
No,
responsibility
she
for that.
communicated there, you communicated and
What
said
you
there
could.
would be
She
leniency.
communicated what she could. She
Yep.
came in, this was
Cause she
what
said, I
was
came
told."
in
kinda came in the middle of
This is
it.
what I was told,
Not
and this
knowing.
is it, but I will be willing to work with you.
I think it was just the initial panic, you know. We
If-
got
if he's
4
willing-
hours versus, you know, we didn't know about the leniency. We didn't know we weren't being, docked if we left for an hour, but it was covered in house. We didn't know that.
I mean, you realize the struggle,
Oh, I
if
know,
you're gone
yes.
for,
I'm just
somebody's
saying
gotta
that for
cover
us,
for
if
an
we're
hour.
when we're, you know, just
Our
all
concern,
of a sudden is we're told this and then I just have to figure out all my appointments now so that I can.
all our concern was is hearing so many, we had to cover and we didn't want our principals doing that because they have other duties to do. And that's always all put out to us at that one meeting. Michelle's right, it was a very
It was so minimal.
minimal
It was just-
conversation.
It was
How can
really
we address
innocent.
this?
It was not to be aggressive or anything, so.
No.
Like I said, I didn't even remember part of it, so, until people started talking to me. So, that's how
let's move on.
So-
unimportant.
Realistic, you guys are gonna visit with administration. Stacy, that, what I'm getting, you'll visit with administration.
We'll talk to the teachers and I think that's where we'll go, yes.
Yep.
We'll be fine with that.
All of you.
Because we understand now that the leniency is there, we just didn't understand that part of it.
Okay,
Yep.
So,
okay. Alrighty, thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
Consolidated app.
I just need approval for the application, the Title I, our 77,621 for the Title I, our REAP is 23,522, and those two would be used strictly for salaries. And then the Title IV is all of our professional development, $11,214. So we just need a motion to approve.
To where they're gonna spend.
I make a motion to approve the consolidated app.
Second it,
Second by Michelle. Roll call, Amy.
Rob,
yes.
Chad,
Yeah.
Michelle,
Yes.
Cindy, Lori. Yep. Brent,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes,
Lee,
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
approved. We have other open enrollment application?
Yes, we have, Lang family. And there would be 3 children coming from in the Lang family. 9th grade, 6th grade, and 4th grade. Do you want to do them separately?
What's the best way to do it?
Together.
Yeah.
Okay.
So where are they?
They are coming
Just
from
switch
South
sides.
Dakota. They live in the Valley City district. They're just moving from Ipswich to Valley City, and then they're open enrolling here.
Actually,
They're
Jamestown.
sweet girls.
Or are they Jamestown?
So
Okay,
coming in.
Jamestown.
Yep.
Yeah,
They
James.
got residency, they got a place to live
Okay.
in Jamestown.
Oh my
And then,
goodness.
Nito family would be a 7th grader. Garza would be a 6th grader. And then the Hansons, there's 3 of them, would be 5th, 8th, and 4th.
All coming in.
Do they all have, do they have to fill that out year by year?
No, once.
Oh.
Okay, so we can do these as a group,
Yep.
all coming in. So, you have
I approve, or make a motion to approve all
Okay.
incoming.
Michelle's motion to
open
cover
enrollment.
all coming in.
Didn't know how to say it.
I'll second that.
Cindy's got the second.
Cindy,
No.
Roll call,
It's
Amy?
okay.
Rob,
Yes.
Chad.
Yep.
Michelle,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Lori,
Yes.
Brent,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
And then we have 2 tuition-free agreements, one for the Nito family for this year, and then the Anderson family, 7th grader and the 2nd grader.
Lori made the motion to approve.
I second.
Chad, second.
Yep.
Chad,
Yep.
Roll call. Rob,
Yes.
Chad,
Yep.
Michelle,
Yes.
Cindy,
Yes.
Lori,
Yep.
Brent,
Yes.
Mike,
yes.
Lee,
Yes.
Brett.
Yes.
Staff resignation.
Gotta open it, haven't opened it yet, so I think all of you know what's.
I don't.
I shredded
We're
it,
not happy.
You shredded it once?
I shredded it once, but it
Ended up on your desk again?
Like that?
Candace wanting a life outside.
it's like magic potion, it kept reappearing back on my desk. Barnes County North School Board, dear school board members, please accept my resignation as business manager for Barnes County North Public School District, which will be effective December 31st, 2019. Thank you for the opportunity I was given at this position. You've been very supportive of me, and I will miss working with you, the staff, the students. This has truly been a great experience, both personally and professionally. Sincerely, Amy Darby.
Nope,
Now
no,
I know.
No.
we will not accept.
She just will show up one day, we're like, thought about that.
Get tired.
Right.
So the reason, and Amy, we talked about this a while back, what our thought is you're gonna wanna get somebody on board and have her work with them, train them, and then she has graciously said she would come back at, stay for over, New Christmas and help them get the W-2s, and then maybe at the end of the year, come back for some end of the year stuff if we need her, so she'd be willing to do that.
And it's not because of us, right?
No.
She's retired.
I'm retired.
You're not, this part was fun.
She was slow with that answer.
She really was.
She thought about it.
She thought about
The
it.
keyword was us.
Yeah.
You.
I didn't say Brett. I pulled him with us.
It's those B words.
So we do need a motion to accept, that is actually our position, board position.
So moved.
I'll second. With regret.
With regret. Roll call.
Rob,
Yes.
Chad,
Yeah.
Michelle,
Yeah.
Cindy,
Yes.
Lori. Brent,
Yeah.
Mike, Lee, Brett.
Well, if it's fun for you, okay.
I just didn't realize you were that old.
So, when we wanna start the process, what's the plan?
That's up to you guys. I don't know when you guys wanna
I
start,
think
cause
we
I
are
already
immediately.
whatever you want, I can look back and see when we hired Amy, what we sent out.
Okay.
The job I know was open in March, and I started June 1st, and I was with Karen a month.
So, I mean, we wanna get it
Yeah, but
advertised.
you came with some skills with the business that we may not get this next time around, we may need a little bit more time.
So I think we
And
wanna
a
get
month
it.
wasn't,
Yes.
a month
Yeah.
wasn't
They
enough.
had applications with zero experience right
Yeah.
outside of Fargo.
Business
Oh, we had,
managers
there
are
were
hard spot to
applications
fill
for
right
this
now.
job with
And
zero.
there was just
that
another, a
Amy got.
business manager hired, I don't remember
Oh,
which
yeah.
school, and she has zero experience.
So that's my fear, so
Yeah, so
really
we wanna
kinda-
get on it right away.
I'd appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay,
Alright.
so we'll get that, you'll take a look and get that advertised or
Yep,
whatever.
I'll get that up, and because I'll get it in Wimbledon News this week too, so.
And I've been putting training material together, so.
Right. That's I thought it was,
Understandable.
Okay,
cause I already had somebody that asked.
okay.
Well, mention it.
School safety, Chad wanted that added, you had some comments or?
Yeah, just, I don't know if you guys know this, Alyssa Albright was, gracious enough to invite the Wimbledon Fire Department and the Daisy Fire Department to the school, talk about the AEDs they have in the building, where their red bags are, their emergency kit bags are and stuff like that, and so that if we came to respond to an incident at school, we know where to grab stuff if we needed it and stuff. Had a discussion, we used to have students would get certified, emergency responders that were in the school. And they would have, the fire departments would pay for them to go, once they finished their training, they'd reimburse them for their pay, and then they would be a member of the fire department. that was great, except for the kids always left. After a year or two of experience, they would leave and then we'd be stuck again. Thought I had was if there's anybody in the building that would be willing to go through that training, and wondering if you guys, you know, mulled over, we haven't talked about it tonight, but if the school board would be willing to reimburse a staff member, maybe give them a stipend for being, like we had Dale Endem here. And he was a great help, because when Lisa went, she claps in the kitchen, Dale was right there, you know, checked her over, all that stuff. So it's a 15-20 minute response time for us that are not, you know, all of us are volunteers, so we have our own time. If you wait for an ambulance from Jamestown or Valley City, you're looking at that 35-40 minute time frame. So if you had someone in the building that would know what to do, I mean, even just first aid's great, but if you knew how to do the pulses and the questions to ask and things like that, just to get an idea of what's going on, so you can tell that first responder as they're coming in what you're looking at. So
We have a person.
you have a person that's EMR qualified?
Well, they will be. Daniel, our new football coach.
Oh, that was one that got brought up. I mean, we.
Oh, I didn't hear the
He
name.
came in and talked to me.
Okay.
Mr. Tomaszewski, yeah, he came and talked to me and
Does
asked me if the board would be, if we would be willing as a district to pay for his certification. I said, absolutely.
Is that the new fight coach?
Yep.
Okay,
And the football coach, yeah.
okay,
So he'll do that after football. He'll do that after football gets done. He'll
okay.
do his training.
My kids
He's
love
just
that.
an overachiever.
Well,
Perfectly.
okay. All right, well, then the only other thing that we need to look at is the AED boxes. Those buzzers need to work on those. They absolutely, you know, and that's just, you open up the door and it has an alarm saying it's an open door. That way, you know if someone's messing around with it, someone's, you know. Kids can't hurt themselves because it's smart enough where if it detects a heartbeat, it will not send a charge. So, you know, kids can put it on them all they want, and all they're gonna do is tear their skin when they pull the pads off. But the, you just wanna have that open so that if someone's playing around with it, you know someone's playing around with it. Or if someone needs it, you know.
You want it to work.
That's the only thing I'd say was looking to getting those buzzers fixed.
Okay.
All right, that's it then.
Do they come around, check our batteries, all that stuff, or who does that type of?
Mrs. Albright checks
She
all that.
she takes care of that.
It's just.
Going bird.
First responder.
Okay.
First responder.
I just want to,
Jake went from.
so we're gonna,
Okay,
we're gonna start now, the beginning of the year, so I don't have to do it later. Ask permission to go to the cities, for a tour. This year, we're not going until after school's out, like at the end of May and June, because the normal time we go, I'm expecting, so I wouldn't be here anyway. And just to get approved with doing all the fundraisers all the fundraisers we're doing is to go on that tour. And also, we're gonna do uniforms, so girls will be in black dresses and guys are black shirts with a blue tie, blue tie. So it makes concert attire, contest attire a lot easier for the kids, and it looks cleaner. Most schools do it already anyway, and so it'd be nice if we did that too. The dresses are only $25 for the girls, the guys $8 for the tie. So, they'd be responsible doing their black pants and black shirt, because they do it for sporting events anyway. So just saying we kick off the year with our cookie dough sales, next week, and then we usually do a Halloween bingo in Courtney. We're gonna do this year a dinner concert. So we'll serve, dinner, hopefully like a spaghetti kind of Italian dinner, and then provide a concert for those and sell tickets for those. Because we do it out here, that limits, how many people can come, so that's why we have to sell the tickets. And then, I'm not running the whole concessions this year, we're giving that to dance, but we'll still do through student council if we can sign up for some concessions and stuff to try and raise money for tour.
When's your tour again? Do you have a
We
date?
haven't decided yet,
Okay.
we're gonna.
Is that May, June
discuss
timeframe though?
that, Yeah.
Okay.
End of May, after school's out, it won't conflict with sports or anything. For school.
So I brought this up at Budget and Finance,
Yep.
and music kind of came into play. I'm curious what, as a school district, we spend or gets spent in fundraising for events. And I want to take music, because music is something that we do as a district, I think we should, I don't think they should be having to fundraise. I actually think it is a school event. Well, I'm gonna put myself in a deep here. But there are certain,
She's like,
well, I don't, you know, cause that's something we offer. I actually think we should have a committee that should go in to look at this. The amount of fundraising that actually is taking our kids to sell things that we don't really want, that a corporation is making a lot of money off of child labor. And so, to me, I would like us as a group to look at fundraising and actually pick it apart and see if there's some way to get rid of some fundraising.
I guess as a teacher, we're the first ones hit up.
Oh, always.
And hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yep.
But I guess I see where you're coming from, if it benefits the group, but like last year, one of the teams had multiple fundraisers, and then they used the money to go out for supper and get 2 more game shirts. And it's like, you mean I gave you all that money, I thought it was buying games, but it was for their personal shirts and to go out for supper, rather than come to the banquet here.
And ours, I mean, yes, they do get to do a lot of fun things with the music, but it's the experience that they've, and like
Yeah.
last year, like I started off, we just kind of went, then the last time when we took the whole group, we actually performed, you know, so we're actually working for our, to, you know, and then
Singing
this
for your
year-
supper.
Literally. Working
Singing
for
for-
our supper,
yeah.
working for our supper. And so this year we would do more, and I mean, we can't, I wanted to do an exchange concert with, one of the schools in Fargo as we're heading to the cities. But if we're doing it at the end of the school year, we really can't do that. But I've also, there's other options too. But that's just, it's an experience but we're gonna try and sing at the Mall of America this time. We did Fargo Mall.
Sounds like fun.
Maybe we're gonna branch out to the Mall of America maybe this time, so, but yeah.
I like
I
that
know.
idea.
But yeah, I agree, I
If it's
love
for
that you
experience.
support us, and it is class I'm teaching, you know,
Right.
it's during the school.
And there would be some that you would still probably have fundraising, but there are the ones that are directly tied to school that I think we should be looking at, not forcing people to go and fundraise for. So I would like us to pick it apart.
The music is really, in
Another meeting,
I
sorry.
understand why we have to fundraise for tour,
Yep.
but I do appreciate that I get to take all these kids to these honor choirs, and that's taken care of by the school.
And it should, but,
So you're thinking to send it back to like extracurricular?
well, I didn't know,
What group would you?
is it budget and finance, or is it extracurricular? Or is it the
It's
two?
gonna take both.
Both.
So it really should go back to the extracurricular, just so you guys can figure out what clubs we have, what we have.
Cause we've
That
done
would
some with
fall
clubs
under-
already, we got, I
Yep.
mean, we've done
Yep.
some things already.
Yep.
I mean, it'd be one thing if like choir and band was after school, but it's during school hours,
Yep.
so it's a school class.
Yep.
And I'm not requiring them to go on tour,
Right.
but we're working on the music that we're gonna take on tour in class, so, I mean,
I mean,
to try and,
I just know that I do know, we have too many people in my family that are teachers, and we do know teachers spend a lot of money when fundraising comes around. And how much cookie dough can you buy?
I know, I agree.
Never enough.
And then it's in your freezer and
So
then
do we
you throw
want
it away.
to
Yeah, 2 years later,
do
you
anything
know,
with her? What do you?
I
The only
was
thing you would
hoping
do
that
is just
we're
approve
gonna
the-
approve
just
them
approve the
across
out-of-state
the
travel.
state lines.
I make a motion
I-
to approve.
I second it.
Okay, so basically it's for the trip part of the
Out-of-state
state.
Travel.
I'll
By
second it.
Lori and Michelle,
Oh,
second.
they did.
Rob,
Yes.
Chad?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Cindy?
Yes.
Lori? Brent? Mike?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Brett?
Cool. Good?
Still passes.
He said go.
Oh,
Not no.
I bet that he said no.
He said go.
Still pass.
Okay,
Still passes.
He said go.
I'm sticking my mom on you.
anything else?
No.
No, that was it.
Oh.
It would be actually selling.
You know what it says under on the
Next meeting is the 18th, and we're gonna be at 6 o'clock with the tax hearing.
Yep.
And that'll get advertised
Yep.
anyway, or not, or we're just gonna let them
We,
send
they
it out?
take care of it.
They do it.
We
They
do
do
it.
everything.
We're not gonna do anything with it, okay? Okay, then we're adjourned.
So,